Local girl.
We got Katie Simmers, Mia Calderon, and Sarah Wilkinson. And, obviously the big question would be, how and why is Katie Simmers here in the repechage round one? What happened to Katie in her opening round?
So paddling out a lot of urchins here on these reefs, was trying to make it outside, and unfortunately for her, was able to get a good amount of urchins on both of her feet. Had trouble competing that day, was able to remove them, and it seems like everything's fine and dandy right now, Chris. But it is surprising when we're talking about top three surfers on the Championship Tour, coming off of win at Pipe, a quarterfinal finish at Sunset, and a former medalist here at the ISA2 that was in Japan a few years ago in the juniors, and now competing for Team USA, trying to just preserve that spot that she's most likely going to get awarded, as they were the highest winning or the highest placed team on the women's side in 2022 in Huntington Beach. I feel like she's going to be a fine addition to the team if they are to continue that selection heading into Paris 2024.
Absolutely. Katie Simmers lives on the cutting edge of what's happening now in surfing. So excited to see these three surfers crack into these waves. There is opportunity out there, maybe sparse, but as we see the first wave ridden here in repechage round one, heat 6, it's going to be Katie Simmers. Quick little snap there. It's looking a little bit more like a beach break today. And it's not super powerful right now as the tide is, I believe, high going low. Or somewhere in that in between. It's going to be pretty vexing for these early heats to get out there and figure out where the proper takeoff zones are. As you can see, not quite hitting the reef like it was yesterday. There are a few sections out there. Mitch, what would be your strategy, or a surfer you'd be coaching out there today? What would you tell them to do?
Well, if it seems like a steep wave, go on it. If it seems like a wave that's going to close out, it's probably going to be one of the best waves of the heat too. So just get busy in the first 10 minutes. If it doesn't seem like that strategy's working out, move around a little bit. The big difference between this wave and the one that we saw the first 2 days on the broadcast was that's really a peak. This one moves around a lot more. As you were saying, it's a reef that has different shallow parts, and depending on the angle, the swell can break certain positions of the reef. I just feel like you have to approach it like a beach break, as you were mentioning. And Katie Simmers, she comes from Oceanside, California, probably one of the most consistent beach breaks on the west coast of the U.S., so very accustomed to these kind of conditions. She does have a local surfer to go up against, though, and she's up and riding, Chris.
Here we go, Mia Calderon from right here in Puerto Rico. That's the exact section that she was probably trying to hunt and find, because we've seen already some of these kind of shouldery, tapered off waves not really giving you the power or the punch you need, put up a big number. So identifying what was kind of, for all intents and purposes, a closeout section may have played into the favor of Mia Calderon, because it just gave her a little bit of an opportunity to do some exciting surfing, which the judges want to see.
And you actually have two great scholars out there in the water too. Mia Calderon, she's studying to be a physician. Sarah Wilkinson from Guam, she graduated from Columbia University with a mechanical engineering degree, and she's actually a software engineer now. She's moving to California, was still living in New York, and competes for Guam. Met her the other day, really cool person, and obviously has the desire to be able to compete at the higher level too. So really nice to see some people putting a lot of emphasis on their studies and making sure that they're having a backup plan just in case pro surfing doesn't work out. Because in the end, what do you say, less than 10% of the people that compete at major events are actually going to be financially successful within the sport, Chris.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's cool that the ISA, you can compete in ISA World Surfing Games until you're 40, 50, 60 years old. I mean, we do have competitors up in their mid-40s. So from a place like Guam, which we know there's rising talent coming out of there each and every day. But Sarah, she's only 23 years old, so she's got a long competitive surf career ahead of her. And yeah, her work at the gaming company that she's working with, I'm sure that will help give her the freedom to be able to get around the world and compete. 15 minutes to go here. Katie Simmers already with an 11.50 total. Mia Calderon starts with the 3.67. So Wilkinson just got a quick ride there. When she's not designing video games in New York City or California, she is surfing Boat Basin in Guam. I've heard that that must be kind of the hot spot of surfing in Guam. Most of the team is mentioned Boat Basin as their spot.
There's a lot of good reef breaks over there too. Jared Agogi, who's kind of one of their leaders on the men's side, has always told me I got a lot of great reef breaks, a lot of barrels, and I tend to surf pretty solo too. So uncrowded, warm year round too, and really nice people over there in Guam, and a lot of similarities coming into Puerto Rico too. It's definitely one of those locations that I feel like could potentially have or host either World Surfing Games, a junior event, or maybe even the SUP event too, because what happens on a lot of islands, especially out in the middle of the sea, is that you have opportunities to do a lot of good wind swell things too, Chris.
And here we go, Katie Simmers. Cruising down the line there, slips off on her second turn. I would say the entirety of our field, Katie Simmers is among the top in terms of style. She surfs in such a cool, unique way. Definitely has a skateboarding background.
Yep.
But you just see, like, right when she stands up on the board, she has that Dane Reynolds, John quality where you just don't know what she's going to do, right? She's unpredictable in the best way possible. So fun to watch. And Mia Calderon right there, that was the section we talked about. She definitely got the most out of that wave.
Yeah, that was the 367. Then was able to get her best on this one, Chris. 4.67, found a right-hander. And as I said, you want to find those steep sections, get a combo right there at the beginning. And right here, was able to engage the lip, but coming out of it, a bit of trouble still. Got rewarded. And, the surfers have to adapt, but I think the judging and the judges have to adapt with it, too. So, good scoring so far. They're elevating a lot of those scores because they don't want to see too much poor surfing in terms of the scoring potential on these waves only be rewarded that way. And I feel like that's going to be the big concept for today. Make sure that when you're seeing good surfing, reward it. And especially if it's excellent, don't be afraid to throw an 8 or better, Chris.
No, absolutely. And we will see big numbers today because the level is that high. And also, this being the repechage round, the want and need to stay in this competition has risen. And I think right now, this is a good example of what we're going to be seeing for the rest of the day, just in terms of waves ridden. Just a handful right now, but the big news, the big number from Katie Simmers, an 8.17. We're most likely not going to see many 8s throughout the morning or afternoon, but we're talking about Katie Simmers here, who obviously eats 8s for breakfast. No worries for Katie Simmers.
One of the best surfers in the world.
Yep.
Won at Pipe. The way she won was impressive, coming off of quarters at Sunset. But one thing that I truly admire and respect about Caitlin, especially with, the integration of the Vizsla CT Shaper rankings now, Chris, she still decided to stay with her longtime shaper, Chris Borst, too. There's a relationship right there, a camaraderie between the two of them, and obviously a lot of loyalty as well. And I think that's something that a lot of people can not only assume is something that'll be going for a few years now, but most importantly, designs for Chris Borst and everybody within that area having somebody like Katie on the championship tour is going to elevate their own game too. Justin Turnus from Dark Arts also has amazing boards. Not a lot of people ride them. Still a world-class shaper. And the only way that Marshall Zui from Sharp Eye became how relevant that he is by getting a couple key surfers, and next thing you know, he's probably the most successful shaper on the planet too, Chris.
Yeah. I mean, and it really is about that intrinsic connection that these shapers have with their riders. John Pizell and John Florence.
Exactly.
That's a good example there. Chris Borst shaping for Katie Simmers, also making boards for Taylor Knox for a long time. I mean, two surfers that really utilize their rails, and they just fit with the boards that Chris Borst makes, and vice versa. It'll be really fun to see the development that Katie Simmers brings to the table, working with Borst. When you have a surfer that good and a shaper that good put together with room to grow, we're going to see some great boards coming out of that Borst factory.
And what's so crazy about Katie is that, well, as soon as I saw her the first time, John Daniels was still coaching her. It was at a WSA event, I think maybe at San Clemente Pier. And she dropped a 10 in one of her heats. And I asked John, I was like, dude, who is that? She's like, oh, that's Katie. Now you fast forward a few years. Remember, wins the U.S. Open Pro Junior 2019, one major turn on the backhand. 2 years later, wins the U.S. Open as a Challenger Series event, qualifies that year and denies the spot, says, hey, I'm still a little too young. I want to take my time. Then qualifies the next year again. And in 2023, she finishes number 4 in the world. Now she's in the top 2, and I feel like we're obviously seeing somebody that has not only risen to the occasion with a lot of pressure on her shoulders too, but she's still just a teenager, Chris, and the sky is the limit for her.
Well, she has a chance of becoming the youngest female world champ ever.
Yeah.
And it's a good chance.
Mm-hmm.
Or one of them, I should say. One of the youngest world champs ever. As we see Mia Calderon right there pulling the attention towards her as she rockets her way down the line, straight into a closeout section. I like the idea. I like the intent. She did fall. But, you know, the fact that she's going for it right now, that's telling a good story. 8:55 on the clock. Katie Simmers on the strength of that. 8:17 has a big lead for now over Mia Calderon from right here in Puerto Rico. Sarah Wilkinson hanging in there from Guam. She has a .67 to start. She's a great surfer. Just given the opportunity, she could post up a sizable number. You know, I feel like it's going to be as tricky for the surfers as it is for the judges, because a lot of these waves are going to just be quick, 1 or 2 turns max. I feel like we're going to see a lot of 2s, 3s, and 4s throughout the day, and if you can get yourself into that above average range like Katie has done, you're likely to make it through this heat.
100%. I mean, you could probably make it through a lot of heats in this round with just that one score too. And you know, Mia, we talked about her going to school to be a physician eventually, but she also helped the ISA and Surfrider Foundation earlier this week restore a lot of mangroves in the area too, Chris.
Well, here goes Katie. Gets that little whitewater push and nails it. It's going to be another big number for Katie Simmers, making it look easy out there this morning.
Making the complicated look easy too. I mean, just to be able to generate speed like that and that short of a section too, the deep bottom turn right there on the reed, that's what coming from a beach break does to you, Chris, especially on the back end right here. That slight readjustment has her back foot way on the tail pad and just explodes when she reaches the lip line. I also think that her size has a lot to do with her success today. Obviously it being a little bit smaller, but her being to gain that extra speed when she needs to. She's going to be deadly if waves continue like this all week long.
That was pretty incredible that she just stood up and it looked like she was just chilling, and something happened. She just did a little shift and got an incredible speed burst straight up into the lip. Vertical, throws the tail. I mean, if you're a judge, you got to be looking at that right along with that 8:17. That was an insanely good turn.
And the score is in, Chris, pretty close.
7.50. So Katie Simmers sitting on a 15.67. So if you thought it was going to be slow this morning, if you thought the scores were going to be kept to a minimum, think again. Katie Simmers is out there blasting her way through Repechage, round 1, heat 6. Here's a look at your current conditions.
Couple
at Arecibo, Puerto Rico.
Differences today than we saw the past few days. 2 to 3 feet. Say first day of competition, 5 to 6 over at Margara. Swell direction a bit different to east-northeast. The good thing about this entire week, not a huge tide difference. 4:14 p.m. 0.2, and the high tide in a few hours here at 9:58 1.2. The water temp quite warm. It's actually a little cooler outside, Chris, and a good amount of rain today is expected. So I'd say bring your rain jacket to the beach.
Yeah, one of the key differences today, it's going to be raining off and on, which obviously is, I mean, it does affect the surfers to a certain extent. Most people enjoy surfing in the rain a little bit.
I love it.
A little different, but it does, you know, it can hamper your vision. I mean, this is just being nitpicky here, but obviously not affecting Katie or Mia. Mia's got a couple good scores as well, a 4.67 and a 3.67. So we've got 2 sharks unleashed here in the Repechage, which was just packed with talent from yesterday. You know, you've got surfers that maybe just made one little error and they found themselves in 3rd and 4th. Maybe they had a really tough draw with 4 incredible surfers in one heat, or maybe they're just starting their competitive career. And this is just some more inspiration and more of an education as to what it's like to surf in the big leagues. I mean, for Sarah Wilkinson and for Mia Calderon, this is a cool opportunity to go up against
an elite surfer.
Yeah, a surfer who is thought of as the best female on the planet right now, if not top 3, at least. I mean, Katie Simmers is going to be fighting for a world title this year, as well as a gold medal.
Yep.
So this could be the biggest year of Katie Simmer's life. It's already starting to look like that. The win at Pipeline.
Which is crazy because she's getting better every year, too. I mean, she had the best year of her life in 2023. 2022 was amazing for her as well. And, you know, the generation of surfers that she had to come up against in the U.S. was very talented, too. Sori Lindblad, Alyssa Spencer. You know, she didn't have to go through Lakey Peterson or Courtney Conlog, but she had to be able to look up to them. And eventually, when she made it onto the CT, was like, well, I got to compete against you. You might be older than me and you might be an inspiration, but I still got to do what I got to do. And if that means defeating you in a heat, I will be able to put that aside and be able to compete knowing that my career is on the line, Chris.
Well, it's one of those rare cases. She just skyrocketed past her peers. She was in that
True.
group of surfers that you just mentioned, and she quickly elevated herself straight into the Carissa Moore, Stephanie Gilmore category in a quick span as well.
A year.
Yeah. I mean, the Katie Simmer story, which is just beginning, is already really special.
What's, you know, you mentioned her being one of the youngest if she were to win the World Championship this year. Steph is still the only rookie to ever do it on the CT, which is crazy. I think nowadays you can't really look at those kind of milestones and be like, that's something that I want. It would be awesome. But just winning one with the talent that there is nowadays, when we're talking about the most talented surfers to ever do it, that to me is the real deal.
Yeah. And I know we're only, 2 events in on the WSL Championship Tour. We're just getting started here at the ISA World Surfing Games, but I feel like we're seeing a generational shift. I think the Katie Simmers, Molly Picklum friendly rivalry story is just starting to heat up. That's going to continue on for the rest of the year for sure. There's Katie with the luxury of being able to do, just throw some fun into this heat, blowing the tail there. She's really good at airs.
Yeah,
and it's something you don't see that often, obviously, because Sunset Beach, Pipeline, not necessarily airwaves. But once we see Katie Simmers unleashed in waves like this, lower trestles, maybe Portugal on the right day.
Yeah. Fiji could even happen too if it's small enough. You get the right ramp there. She's won in Portugal before. We talked about generational shifts from both the men and women's side in the United States. All came through the ISA as well. She's been a medalist here before, Chris, as you can always join us online at ISA Surfing.
Yeah, tell us. Who are you excited to watch surf today? Who are you cheering for? Which nation do you want to see come through at the end and get that team gold medal at ISA Surf? And we do have an opportunity for you to come and hang out and enjoy top-tier surfing at Discover Puerto Rico. Join us on Instagram. It'll be like you're here. It's just you're looking at your phone. But you'll have that same Puerto Rico feeling.
Are you using your
via
hashtag
the phone
too? Hashtag Boricua?
Yes.
Okay. Just making
I'm
sure.
a big Boricua fan.
It's your favorite word so
My
far.
first time here in Puerto Rico, and I'm staying. They're not going to be able to get rid of me after this week. I live here now.
You and Otto are going to be great surf buddies.
If they'll have me. 50 seconds left. Katie Simmers is pretty much has comboed the field. Here we go. Sarah Wilkinson representing Team Guam, the software engineer. The brilliant video game designer, Sarah Wilkinson, right there. That was her second wave surfed, 0.67 and a 0.0 for now, but that's going to be a better score for Sarah. She gets a 0.80 and a 0.67. Representing Guam well, showing up, supporting the team, getting out there, cutting her teeth against some of the world's best. It's a nice showing for Sarah Wilkinson, 2 heats in. And she'll now be relegated to the squad on the beach, supporting her team.
And enjoy the rest of the week in beautiful PR, too.
Yeah, and also just, in taking a look at her social media, you can tell she gets out there and has a lust for life. So we'll be seeing more of Sarah Wilkinson, no doubt, in ISA competitions in the future. But for now, repechage. Round 1, Heat 6 goes to Katie Simmers and Mia Calderon. Team USA and Team Puerto Rico moving through. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more action from the repechage round here at the ISA World Surfing Games 2024.
Puerto Rico, we call ourselves Boricua, a unique name honoring our island heritage and the vibrant spirit of our people. When you bask in the warmth of our beaches, when you taste the love in our food, when you embrace the call of our adventures, you'll find that spirit in yourself. Dare to live every moment. Live Boricua.
Desde la primera vez que te probé, ese sabor nunca lo olvidé. Quiero mi pancho, te amo pancho. Desde la primera vez que te probé, ese sabor nunca lo olvidé. Quiero mi pancho.
Campo Pancho, solo $4.99.
Te amo pancho.
Welcome back to the ISA World Surfing Games, live from Puerto Rico. This is women's repechage round 1, heat 7. Sofia Alonso, Chen Wanyu, and Ine Haugen. Norway, Chinese Taipei, and Uruguay represented here in this last chance qualifier. 2 of these surfers will move on in this repechage round. 1 surfer, unfortunately, their run is done here in Puerto Rico. There's your surfer representing Norway in green, Ine Haugen. It's always, I do love about these repechage rounds is this is our chance to learn more about our competitors that might not necessarily make it all the way to finals day, but they've made the effort. They have the passion for surfing, the passion for representing their nations, and they deserve the spotlight for at least 20 minutes at a time. So starting with a 193 in a Haugen from Norway, it's the first wave of this heat. So of course, this being an Olympic qualifier, the final Olympic qualifier of the year before Paris 2024. A lot at stake for these surfers, even here in the repechage round, knowing that they still have a chance at qualification. We have 8 spots still open for women. The universality place in play as well. Here are your women's qualification tiers. Start off with 24 Olympic spots available. Here's your 1 through 8, Team USA and Team Australia have their teams packed. 2 males, 2 females per team, unless you get this right here, your team spot. You saw Sanoa Devlin Olin qualify down at the Pan Am Games. That was a special moment.
She was amazing. I mean, lost to Tati in the final, but beat Leilani McGonigal in the semifinals to make it to that place. I mean, the size of the waves was just incredible. And last year at the World Surfing Games too in El Salvador, Bahine, Shino Matsuda, Safi Vet, and Sarah Baum. I like Baumi's chances over there in Tahiti too. A great surfer that has an amazing backhand, but real good barrel rider too. 8 more spots to be determined here, Chris, and feeling so far that we're kind of getting some vibe from some people that they really, really have a good chance, especially with the conditions being the way they're going to be. Still have 2 after that, though.
Right, your highest ranked women's team will earn an additional Olympic spot. So if you already have 2 surfers on your team from your nation, this is your chance to get a 3rd. Or if you don't have any surfers and your team gets that top spot, that's your ticket into the Olympics. Mitch, you got any names that it's early and it's always scary to throw out predictions and names with something as illustrious as an Olympic slot. So this is purely hypothetical. Who are some names we're thinking of that do have a shot right now?
Well, I liked Kika's chances. She ends up losing yesterday in the main round. I just thought these waves resembled so much of Portugal and Vaselko. She's going to be in the repechage now, so there's still always a chance. I mean, we saw Sally Fitzgibbons win the event after being in Rep 2 3 or 4 years ago at this event. So I'm not saying that it's impossible, and really, you just need to be able to beat out people that can still contest for that spot too. So it's really making those heats that are going to be different for the teams that have already qualified. So United States, Brazil, Australia, those are people that you don't necessarily have to beat out. You need to beat out the people that can still qualify. I thought Havana Cabrero surfed amazing yesterday, too. She was able to handle the pressure. Being a local surfer is obviously great for her, too.
I got a name for you.
Oh, go ahead.
Cixi Yang. Cixi Yang.
I
Do
think
not forget that name. That could be one of the females that blasts her way through this repechage round all the way to finals day.
Could.
She's that good.
The thing is, the youth. Are you going to be able to control everything in the heat of the moment in those big heats? She did it yesterday, so...
Probably did the turn of the day yesterday.
She did?
I think.
6-point ride for the one turn, too. In a tough heat.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be a lot easier, obviously, on day 5 or 6 when we start to see the contenders really rising. But we did see Sofia Alonso right there get a nice turn down the line. Uruguay, a beautiful country, a rising surf nation as well. We've seen some bigger and bigger names coming out of Uruguay and putting their name on the map.
Nadia Aerostarbe is another one that I like, too.
Great surfer.
And you know, the way she's competed the last year and a half, I think, has a lot to do with her patience, her growth, and the way she's going to be able to maintain discipline throughout the week, too. An amazing coaching staff, Spain as well. It's going to be a big thing for them. And I also think, you know, one thing's the individual spots, but the highest winning team on both the men's and women's side, I think France has an amazing chance to get that number 3 spot on the women's side.
And from Team Puerto Rico, I mean, Mia Calderon, who we just saw, Havana Cabrero. At this point in this contest, only on day 3, anything's possible.
And everything's hypothetical, too.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter until they paddle out and they can actually accomplish it during those 20 minutes that they have it at hand.
Yeah, we still have hundreds of competitors. We're literally, this is the first day that we're starting. Well, yesterday, maybe for a few hours, we were starting to cut down some names, but today is going to be a day of savage cuts, but that's part of competitive surfing.
Yep.
We don't want to send anybody home. But you got to whittle down this field of hundreds and identify the cream of the crop. Nice surfing there for Ine Hagen. So Team Norway represented well by this young surfer. And if you want to surf in Norway, you got to really want it. There's great waves there. Going to be cold.
There any beaches?
Access to the beach is tough.
I feel like it's mostly rocks there on the shoreline, too.
You're not going to be spending too much time sunbathing on white sand in Norway, but you will be spending time alone in the lineup because there's nooks and crannies all up and down that coast. Ine Hagen, 35 from Stavanger. As we see now, Sofia Alonso. Uruguay opts out of that one. So we still have a lot of national champions left in the draw. Ine Hagen is one of them. She is your Norwegian champion from 2021. And this is her first time competing in an ISA event. So welcome, Ine. At least that's what her bio says. This might be an older bio.
No, pretty cool. And the same thing for Chinese Taipei's Chen Wanyu. Calls herself Amber. Competed last year at the juniors in Brazil, so just a few months removed as well. Comes from the east coast of Taiwan, and favorite surfer Felipe Toledo. So having the experience of being able to compete in the same event as your idol is pretty significant in your journey as a surfer as well. And here she goes, Chris, on the left.
Ooh, nice turn there for Chen. It's that second combo that's going to be right on the edge. I don't think she'll get credit for the second turn, but
good style.
I like that she's pushing it, going for it. You have to at this level.
Waves are really good over there, too. I mean, good amount of consistency, a lot of different breaks. They've held multiple world championship events. I feel like Chinese Taipei, they've been on the come up, too, in terms of talent. A lot of great kids from that area. I think they're one of the most developed countries in the last few years, too, in terms of the sport of surfing.
Yeah, they're coming on strong for sure. It's been fun to watch the rise of some of the newer surf nations that we've seen in ISA competition. It starts with the ISA World Juniors. That's the place where we see a lot of these names first. Then they sort of graduate here to the ISA Worlds. There's Ine Hagen. She's probably just stoked not to be in a 543 wetsuit with booties, gloves, and a hood.
At the minimum.
The minimum.
Might be wearing a dry suit. Remember when Adam Wickwire went to Antarctica with, was it the H-bomb that Rip Curl was making at that time with the heater?
Wetsuit, yeah. Yeah, that looked cold.
I don't know if I can pull that off yet. Maybe do...
Well, Mason Ho was recently in the Arctic Circle doing ollies over icebergs.
That seems like a bit too much for me.
10 minutes to go here. Sofia Alonso from Uruguay in the lead for now the 383 and a 1. Inye Hagen from Norway with a 257. Right behind her is Chen Yu from Chinese Taipei, 2.5 and a 107. So this heat real tight with inside of 10 minutes to go. So far it's been pretty much all lefts that have provided the canvas to get those bigger scores. But it does really have that kind of beach break feel right now. So I think competitors that were born and bred in beach break situations, although this is going to be a shallow reef, it is a little bit different, but it's just the look that we saw from Katie Simmers. I mean, it looked like the south side of Oceanside Pier.
That's basically what it was.
On a normal day.
Yeah.
Here's your schedule for the week.
Los Cafres, real famous band here in Latin America. They played Saturday night.
Are your legs sore from dancing?
Big turnout. Gomba Jabati, also a very famous group. They were
love them.
Successful last night. International dub ambassadors, they're great. Siete, Milo Torres, a lot of local Puerto Ricans right here. Gonna be really cool to experience the vibe, not only within the surfing aspect of it, but also getting into the culture and immersing yourself even more within what the locals consider to be something natural to them.
Well, two of the biggest musical genres in the world right now, K-pop being one of them, but the music coming out of Puerto Rico for the past few years has literally taken over the world. Bad Bunny and the like. I mean, anywhere you go in the planet, if it's a place where people like to party, they're playing music from Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Bad Bunny, Daddy Yankee was one of the OGs of that. Teo Calderon, like a lot of great people.
Is Pitbull from Puerto Rico?
I believe so, yes.
Mr. International?
Mr. International.
Well, everywhere you go here, I mean, you'll hear bumping car stereos. And I like that vibe. I like that musical feeling. I mean, it really is the lifeblood of Puerto Rico, that beat, that bass, that feel. It's loud, it's fun, makes you want to dance.
It's entertaining.
Makes me want to surf, too.
And the quality of life for people here is through the roof, too.
Oh, we've been witnessing that the last 2 days, Saturday and Sunday here on the boardwalk, raging. Everybody out and about, smiling, having a good time, just really enjoying life down here on the beach at Arecibo. As we see Sofia Alonso doing what she can on, a bit of a lackluster wave. Didn't have a lot of punch to it, but I think she maximized the potential of that wave, which is all we can ask for today. You got to maximize the potential of the waves you're on.
And keep your expectations low, too. Don't go out there thinking that you're going to get a couple of 8s. If you need to do it with a couple of 4s, with a 5 and another 5, like, eventually that's going to be a good heat total. And as of right now, Sofia's just really been able to not only get you good scores, but also be able to find those waves out there, which seems to be the most difficult part so far, Chris. Just under 7 minutes ago, putting up a good heat total. But it's been competitive. Chen had that one wave on the left as we look at the replay here, good carve, and had the one big section here at the end. Was able to bank it shut. So that wave's complete. We're waiting on that score. Her previous one, the one that she fell on at the end, was just a 2-5. And then Sofia, it seems like the backhand is the best option for her. Really like how deep she got on the bottom turn right there. Real low and compressed as well. Always staying nice and compact. Good surfing, and considering how the waves are right now, real difficult to generate speed. Maintaining your low posture is going to be huge.
And she just took over the top spot. So Uruguay on top for now, and Sofia is back at it. Your high seed in this heat, wearing the red jersey. So she's got a 4.67 and a 3.83. Meanwhile, Chen Yu sitting on the highest single wave score of this heat, that 5.5. She'll be looking for a backup. Inye Hagen, she's hanging in there. She needs a 5.44 if she wants to stay in this competition. Good news for her, she has 5 minutes, 50 seconds left. There's a lot of waves coming through.
There are. And get on the judges, too, by opening up the scale with those two scores of Katie, because look at where it's allowed to fit in every other score. You got the 5.5 of Chen, which is, above average wave. It's right there close to the good range. Sofia, a 4.67 and a 3.83. And then all those 2s, all those 3s, there's going to be more space to fit all those things in, especially in a round where you're going to see a good amount of difference between the people that are winning heats and those that are just within, getting 3rd and 4th. And overall, thing is to go out there and enjoy yourself, have fun. Don't go in there thinking, oh, I have to beat this person. No. Remember, the whole point of doing this, especially as a competition, is to enjoy it. If you're losing the joy of it, Chris, what's even the point?
They're losing. I agree with you, Mitch. 5 minutes to go here in Repechage. Round 1, Heat 7. And, of course, the longer you stay in the contest, the more points you get for your team, the better shot your team has of making the podium at the end of this event. So it's Monday morning here, 8:07 a.m., the local time here in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, going to be another long day, Chris. Our longest so far, I would think, right now. But these are the rounds that tend to have the most competitors in them, and especially when it comes to advancing the key rounds that you want to be able to get a lot of surfers through in order to get your seed to be better for next year's World Surfing Games, too. So teams like Argentina, they've already had a major amount of casualties in the main round. They still have most people alive in the repechage, but you want to be able to make it through as many rounds as possible in order to not only improve your seed, potentially even get a medal as a team at the end of the event, too.
You cannot have a defeatist attitude going into these repechage rounds. You've got to know that you do have a path back to the main podium. It's not going to be easy. Everyone's hungry in these rounds, including Inge Hagen from Team Norway. Nice down carve there. It's the inside section, looking for a 5.44. That was a nicely surfed wave.
Her best, by far, riding that Slater Designs. I actually think having an epoxy in your quiver anywhere you go, even if you're going to some of the heaviest waves in the world, is a very smart idea. Case in point today, Chris, is a good example of it. You want to have something with a little bit more buoyancy, something that's going to float a bit more, and it seems like this board was the perfect choice for Ina. How's the use of priority, too? Had first priority here, kept right off of the wave. Good connection right there, but way better on the second one. So no doubt going to be one of her top 2 scores. And it's in Chris at 2.63, still needing something in the low 5s.
Yeah, it's great surfing from Team Norway's Inge Haugen. Now we see Sofia Alonso representing Uruguay. Again, trying to maximize the potential of that wave. She smiles at the end of it, showing us that, yeah, it's not easy out there, but she's still having a good time. Successful for now as we see Chen Wan Yu. Just gets hung up at the top of that inside section. He goes down. Now we're seeing some urgency in the lineup with 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Red, blue, green, 1, 2, 3. Third place surfer is out of this competition. First and second place surfers move through into the next repechage round. You stay in the repechage all the way up until finals day.
Yep.
Where you can literally surf your way to a medal out of the elimination bracket.
So everybody that keeps going through the main round, I'd say you're surfing 8 heats probably to make it to the final, 9 at the most. Repechage, you're usually having to surf 12. So an extra 3 heats that you have to do, and if that happens on finals day, fatigue will be a huge factor too.
A lot of surfing.
But one thing we haven't talked about so far today, Chris, with the decrease in swell, there's less water on these reefs, and it is way more exposed, especially when you're getting through to the inside. So really got to watch out with the way you're falling if that is the case. As of right now, it doesn't seem like anybody's been close to getting hit on the reef right there towards the end. But I wouldn't put my feet down too much, especially somebody heavier like me. I tend to go through water a lot quicker. So be careful.
Yeah, I feel you there. This area of Puerto Rico, absolutely stunning, beautiful. But it's threatening when the waves get a little bit bigger. I mean, we saw it on opening day. This place packs a punch. We're talking North Shore Oahu style power. And it's similar in terms of the shallowness. You can get yourself in as much trouble as you want. I guarantee you there's nooks and crannies around here that are as gnarly as anywhere in the world on their day. I've seen some wild photos of waves in this area, waves to the north in the 20-foot range.
Yep.
That you can tell are heavy. So 35 seconds left here at the moment. Sofia Alonso representing Team Uruguay in the top spot. Chen Wan Yu from Chinese Taipei in second. Inge Hagen from Norway needs a 5.38. She's in the third priority position right now. She's right in the middle of the peak. Hoping for a miracle wave to come her way. Time is flying by. 10 seconds left before we switch over to Repechage Heat 8. So you're going to see some of these heats with 3 surfers, some with 4. That's just math, which I'm not good at, so I won't be able to explain it. There's hundreds of surfers still left in the draw, and this is the round where we start to cull some of the field. And either way, congrats to all of our competitors. So far, everyone has represented their home nations in such a great way, including Inye Hagen. But at the end of the day, Sophia Alonso getting the win. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Repechage action. Things are getting serious here in Puerto Rico. You're watching the ISA World Surfing Games. We'll be right back.
Estamos en otro level, porque ahora ando en yate y aviones. Se nos dio, ahora somos ganadores. Hicimos a que mate, par de millones. En Aventador llegando a las mansiones. Todo comenzó jugando, ponte ready que ya voy llegando. De una picaco, todo comenzó jugando.
Here. And we're back. This is Repechage Round 1, Heat 8. Aisha Garvey, Carolina Walinska, Isadora Bulto, and Darlene Ramirez, Guam, Chile, Poland, and Ireland. Represented in this heat. Chris Cote with Mitchell Salazar. Mitch, I love these international heats where we get to find out more about surfers that might not necessarily be competing a lot around the world at events that we're at. But in the ISA, this is where they get their spotlight. Here goes Aisha Garvey. Team Ireland always comes through with a spirited squad. If you see Team Ireland anywhere you're at in the world, go introduce yourselves. They're always kind, interesting, and awesome people. Say they're led by Garage McDade.
Yep.
Who absolutely ripped his way through his opening round heats in the main podium. Still up there in the main, and
A threat, too.
if we want to talk about potential Olympians,
And doing well in Tahiti, too.
I would put Garage McDade in that conversation. Again, early days here in the ISA World Surfing Games, but
It's a good
it's
pick.
fun to speculate. I would love to see Garage McDade competing at Chihopo in the Olympics. That would be awesome.
What it would do for not only Ireland, but that part of Europe, too, would increase the surfing population. It would put more exposure. Remember, there's a lot of heavy waves like that over there in Ireland, too.
Big, gnarly lefts. I mean, that is really an actual great training ground
Yeah.
for a wave like Chihopo.
You wouldn't really have to travel that much. And then imagine doing it with a 5'4" and then going into trunks afterwards. Yeah, that's actually an incredible pick. I feel like he could do very well if he were to qualify.
I always say that's like a weighted bat in baseball. You surf a lot in a 5'4" wetsuit. You get in trunks, you are feeling footloose and fancy free.
I agree.
17-11 here.
Going to be looking like Ken Griffey Jr. on a good day over there at Chopes then.
True.
Speaking of Aisha Garvey, Aisha Groovy on Instagram, I met her last year, I believe, at the World Longboard Championships at El Sunsal. Darlene up and riding there real quick. She's a physical therapist, also a surf instructor and a coach, and does sports massage and Pilates. So, very well-versed, well-rounded, really cool person, loves to travel.
Fit human doing
Yeah.
all those activities, and I put surfing in an activity that will definitely get your blood flowing.
Yeah, and Ollie O'Flaherty also has been somebody that's done a lot for surfing in Ireland, too. Was a contender for one of the Big Wave Awards a couple of years ago. I think Shane beat him out in one of the categories, but, somebody that went and coached the junior team for Ireland over in Brazil a couple months ago. Bringing the team together once again has a lot to do with development in Ireland overall. But just the amount of people over there, Tom Lowe, all those guys, they've pushed boundaries, and having the exposure from big waves has obviously brought in some amount of money for a lot of competitive surfing too. And you got to be able to find a way, regardless of which one it is, just to be able to bring a little bit more eyeballs onto a program like this.
Well, back in my day at Transworld Surf, we prided ourselves on discovering new talent. We put together a video called High Five, featuring Ireland's Fergal Smith.
Yep. True.
One of my favorite sections of that movie.
I remember.
It was awesome. It still is. There's Ayesha Garvey. I like that, keeping the pedal to the metal. You know, rolling the dice on whatever waves come her way. Which I feel like luck is going to be a key role in success here today, because it's pretty complex out there. I mean, it's still a tight takeoff zone, but it's much more of a beach break scenario here. See Ayesha paddling back out. Isadora Puerto is a name that I'm actually a little bit surprised to see in the repechage round as well. She was a Latin American vice champion, a national champion in the sub-14 and sub-16 division. She's been a high-level competitor for a long time. And, of course, Chile always packs their team with talent. We know that. Quick look for Carolina Walinska. If your hands leave the rail, regardless of your forward momentum, you still are counted on that wave. Team Chile includes Jessica Anderson, Isadora, Roberto Araki Gonzalez, Guillermo Sat, Stella Lopez, and led by Manuel Selman. So Team Chile, always a force in ISA competition.
Yeah, and considering, you know, how heavy these waves can get to, they probably wanted it to be as big as possible. Guy Assad is an incredible big wave surfer, barrel rider, really talented when it comes to surfing heavier waves. Same thing for Manu Selman. You get those guys at a good day over there in El Gringo and Arica, and you better watch out because they're taking out high-level competition left and right. But Isidora, I mean, look at her age. Still in her mid-teens, super young, has a lot to go. She was actually selected because they want to be able to develop her over the years, and there's such a contrast in this event with a lot of people competing and discovering surfing at a different age. Carolina Walinska, she's 40 years old, only discovered surfing 10 years ago when she was on a windsurfing trip towards Brazil. So for her to be able to be doing this now at age 40, pretty darn cool, Chris.
Great surfer, too. Right there. I mean, that's her skills on display. A nice backside snap. One of a handful of the surfers we have in this event that actually started their aquatic life by way of wind. A couple of surfers that started with kite surfing in their home nations and figured out pretty quick that sometimes you don't need all that gear. All you need is a board and a wetsuit. Carolina Walinska surfed in the Baltic Sea, where it's pretty much wind waves. It's very cold, but every once in a while, she scores. And that would be an awesome experience, to get good waves in the Baltic Sea. That right there, that's kind of one of those life hammer moments. And Carolina gets to do it all the time.
And then go down to Darlene Ramirez from Guatemala, 13 years of age, from this place called La Empalizada. Really thankful to be able to have the opportunity to compete here, getting her not only surfing career going, but really within sports too. Has a lot of passion, and she is certain that she's not only going to get better, but also will be able to get to a certain point where she's confident with her surfing overall, Chris.
No doubt. As you see Ayesha rolling the dice there. And even in these early repechage rounds, we do have a lot of national champions. Karolina Walinska is an 8-time Polish national surfing champion. She's the GOAT of Polish surfing.
Watch out, stuff.
Good luck beating that record. 8-time national champion. And looking at her Instagram, you can tell she carries herself with a lot of joy. And it looks like she has a lot of fun around the world.
I'm looking at where the Baltic Sea is. Yeah, it's like, dude, wow. You get a lot of different wind angles there. And I could guarantee you that's probably a super fun place to be able to do a lot of these wind-based water activities. Start foiling, Chris. Watch out. Come to a local lineup near you. Just kidding. I like to avoid a lot of people when I'm doing that. But wind foiling, super fun. Windsurfing is really great too. One thing that I always think is on kook slams quite a bit is kite surfing, so avoid that a little bit more than the others. Still can be very
one of
entertaining.
the hardest water sports to do, that's for sure.
But yeah, growing up in those kind of areas, lakes, rivers, Pat O'Connell, I'd have to say, is the only person to qualify for the championship tour coming from a lake, originally from Chicago, Illinois.
Right.
Now resides in Dana Point, but remember, that's where he grew up surfing. So there's a chance. There's always a chance.
I mean, social media, for all of the weirdness that comes with it, there's a lot of awesome elements of it. Now we get to see what the waves are like in the Baltic Sea, what the waves are like in the Great Lakes all the time. I mean, with just a touch of a button, you can check the waves anywhere in the world. And again, one of my favorite parts of being in the ISA family is my access. And we all now have access to all of these surfers, all of these athletes. Do you want to go on a surf trip to Poland? Well, follow Karolina Walinska on the gram. Make friends with her and get a few tips. I mean, we now pretty much have a direct in to anywhere in the world we want to surf.
How
Via the ISA.
How many places have you actually gotten invited to so far?
Oh, hundreds. Well, none yet, but it's coming. 9:23 left to go. Ayesha Garvey. I've been invited to Senegal.
Right.
Been invited to Jamaica.
That's true. Okay, that's true.
I mean, I invited myself, but self-invite was accepted.
I thought Sharif told you that you could go, and City Kamara also said that he'd be delighted to have you.
Well, the last few clips I saw of Sharif on Instagram, speaking of social media, made me really want to go to Senegal. Place is
good.
Holding.
Yeah. It's a good amount of waves, too. A lot of different breaks, reef breaks. Talk about point breaks. I mean,
Barrels.
we talked about Morocco having, some probably secret spots. You go even further south, Senegal.
Yeah, take us to the lefts, Ramsey. We know they're there. 8 minutes, 37 seconds to go here in Repechage, round 1, heat 8. Isha Garvey in the lead, representing Team Ireland. She could have a gem to work with here. The wave kind of collapses around her. Had to give it a shot, though. Meanwhile, Isadora Bulto now on her backhand.
There we go.
Nice vertical snap there. 14 years old, representing Chile. And that wave will definitely put her in the lead. As now we see Karolina Walinska, 8-time Polish national champion.
Good base.
Yeah, not much for her on that wave as it kind of collapsed pretty quick. Darlin Ramirez from Guatemala, still on the hunt. Great name, Darlin. Cool surfer too. I mean, we can already see the potential, right? The two teenagers we have in the lineup right now, Isadora and Darlin Ramirez. You know that they're going to be in ISA competition for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun to watch their development as we go.
Yeah, and Guatemala, they have a couple surfers. Luz Castillo, she also runs a magazine over there in Guatemala. Spends a lot of time on the North Shore. She was over there for the first CT events as well. But, Billy Prem was also in the event. Great surfer. We talked about their incredible beach breaks, but they must have an absurd amount of point breaks, too. Difficult thing is just always accessing the beach. Even as you were mentioning, Poland, Norway, it's always just hard to be able to access the coastlines because a lot of people tend to own that kind of land for you to be able to get in there. Beach, as we all know, is federal property, so you can always access through the water. Difficult thing is that not everybody has access to a boat or something like that, So, developing country overall within surfing, but Guatemala, mark my words, 10 years to come, they're going to have a solid team.
I mean, look at what Isadora's doing right now. She's just got the last two waves that she's ridden are going to launch her right into that top spot. Well, 157 and 113 for now, but she just put together a nice two-turn combo. Good, clean, tight style. I mean, everything's right there. You see the fundamentals that she has. Bright future ahead of her. Isadora Bulto. Don't forget that name.
No.
From Chile.
14.
Yeah.
Better watch out if you're in the juniors in years to come, too, because you're going to be seeing a lot more of her.
Well, if you're the coach from Team Chile, there you go. 5'6'7" launches her into the first place position. If you're a coach, you know what you got in Isadora Bulto. And meanwhile, Karolina Walinska blasting that wave on her backhand.
Found a gem right there, Chris, the section to do that.
Ayesha Garvey was leading the heat through the entirety, but has found herself just on the opposite side of the section on her last few waves. But she only needs a 143 to get up into advancing position, which is now being held by Walinska from Team Poland.
Yeah, and groove. Aisha, she's finding her groove. Aisha Groovy on Instagram. That's always why I call her Groovy.
Okay.
Last name is actually Garvey, though, but as a lot of people know her, she's just as cool as a cucumber. But I want to get back to, the point about Chile and how they're kind of developing Bulto, because only 14, you have a good amount of options as we see the next heat about to paddle out. There's Tizian Billy Brem as well from Guatemala, teammate for the young surfer Darlene Ramirez, who's in the heat right now.
The entirety of Team Poland will be in the water in the next few moments. So friendly fire coming up next. I mean, another interesting element of these repechage heats.
When we were in Chile for the Pan American Games, we went to this museum that they had for the week that we were there that was like basically a shrine for surfing within the country. What they were able to do with Manuel Selman's gear that he competed at in the Olympic Games was rad. And we went with his parents. It was an amazing experience and really unforgettable too. Like seeing the smile on their faces, seeing how proud they were of their kid and everything. Like that made me feel so passionate about how far we've come as a sport overall, Chris. Like,
that's cool.
Nobody would have thought of us getting to this point right now, and getting compared to the greatest athletes in the world. I think not only deserving, but also a major reward for a lot of people that have made the sport come to this point right now.
Well, the ISA is celebrating 60 years at this event this year, and what a eye-opening experience it's been to take part in these competitions and realize surfing is even stretching its arms further than I think anyone ever expected. These events are starting to have 50, 52, 55 nations represented. Every year it seems like we break records just in terms of representation from all over the world and the number of surfers. Each nation has the opportunity to field 6 surfers, 3 men, 3 women. A lot of these rising surf nations maybe have 1, 2, or 3, but within the next 5, 6 years, we're going to have 50 plus teams of 6. We're going to have to make these events 3 weeks long, Mitch.
266 athletes, 55 nations.
Yeah.
119 women, 45% of the competitors at this event.
So that's 55 nations that if you want to surf and visit, you can find them through the ISA.
And 2 new nations competing here, first time ever. British Virgin Islands, they've had a good performance too. Close by.
BVI.
Weather's very similar, and also Slovakia. Cool to see them as well.
Team Slovakia has been ripping. It's awesome to see.
And they're rad too. All those people that wear like 5.4s every day, they're barefoot here. They're not wearing a single shirt.
Loving
they're in
it.
trunks all
Loving
day.
it.
Well, this is paradise to them. They probably maybe get 1 or 2 days that it's even remotely close to this at home a year.
Well, it's like what, Duke Kahanamoku did. It's like what George Freeth did early on, is basically going around the world telling everybody how cool surfing is. Check this out. Check this sport out. Now we have these surfers traveling to us, and then they're going to bring a bit of Puerto Rico back home with them.
Yep.
They're going to go back to Slovakia and say, everybody, grab your board. Let's go back to Puerto Rico. That place is awesome. Where are we going next? El Salvador. I feel like Team Slovakia, for example, they have, 2 surfers right now. They're going to come to El Salvador 3 or 4.
At the minimum.
They're going to field juniors. They're going to start to grow the sport in that nation just by way of word of mouth and social media, because, once you start, you don't stop. Surfing has a way of sinking its teeth into you. And I think most of us got our surfing start just by, seeing a family member or a neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
You're a little kid. You look to your next door neighbor that's walking out of their house with a surfboard. You're thinking, whoa, what is that? What is that person doing? What's that cool thing they got?
And bodyboarding too. There's so many different disciplines within, water sports too. Body surfing, just going to the beach, experiencing the water, and then you're like, if just swimming in the ocean, like in the shoreline, is cool, imagine how cool it is to be able to stand up on a wave afterwards.
The only wrong way to surf is surfing with a bad attitude. Other than that, there's no wrong way to go surfing.
You should print that on a shirt or something. That was pretty good.
Okay, let's make some signs. 43 seconds left. Isadora Bulto from Chile in the lead with a 5.67 and a 5.17. Aisha Garvey hanging in there for Team Ireland. And we're close to potentially losing 8-time Polish national champion Karolina Walinska needs a 1.94. And Darla Ramirez, Team Guatemala, who has already made big strides in her young surf career, right now on the edge of getting ousted out of this competition. Although no lack of trying, she's put forth a lot of effort and passion in her run here at the ISA World Surfing Games. But this is going to be a day of savage cuts. Half our repechage field will be cold today. But that's surf competition for you. We're going to take a quick break, but we will be back with more action from our repechage rounds for the women. Don't go anywhere. We're going to bring Shannon Hughes and Barton Lynch in on the call.
We are now into our women's final. Tatiana Weston-Webb, Joanne DeFay, Erin Brooks, and Vahine Fierro. Huge hook into the lip to start. Places and releases the tail. A beautiful line into that critical pocket. We're going to track now with Joanne DeFay. Turn off the bottom, just throwing so much spray off the bottom turn as well as off the lip. Erin Brooks, the 15-year-old, now setting herself up as she comes through to the inside, looking for that critical finish.
When we see Tatiana in a wave, right?
Nice snap to start for Tati. Sets herself up down the line. Little spit behind her too as she connects with the lip on the section. Tatiana to be now crowned your gold medalist at the 2023 ISA World Surfing Games.
As you can see, surfing is, it's soaring with it now being in the Olympics, thanks to Fernando and the help of, I'm sure, amazing people getting it there.
With a record 63 nations competing at the 2023 ISA World Surfing Games, at the end of this event, it was Team Peru getting the gold medal victory.
I solemnly, respectfully, and gladly declare the Surf City El Salvador ISA World Surfing Games 2023 finish, close. We'll see you in Puerto Rico early 2024 for the last of the 3 ISA Olympic qualifiers.
Welcome back to the action here for day 3 of the ISA World Surfing Games. We're in the repechage round 1, heat number 9 on the women's side of the draw, with 2 Polish competitors head-to-head against a surfer out of Guatemala. And this is going to be tricky because only 2 surfers will be advancing through into the next round. The bottom surfer will be eliminated from competition. And so it could either be Michalina Lipka from Poland, Karolina Markaz from Poland, or Tizian Billy Brem out of Guatemala that will be heading out of competition while the other 2 will be advancing through into the next repechage round. It's been an exciting week of surfing so far. It feels like we've been here for a really long time, but it's only day 3, Barton. You've got plenty more surfing to come throughout the week.
Yeah, it was an amazing opening weekend. Saturday and Sunday here in Puerto Rico. Beautiful weather. Massive crowds, tens of thousands of people here at the beach. 2 podiums going at the same time, Margara and El Pico. Margara is closed down now with the drop of the swell, and we've moved to Rastreal and El Pico, where the men are, and the ladies here are at Rastreal. And it's a left, primarily a left. There's a right on it as well, but I think the best scores have been coming from those lefts, and it's quite like a beach break at the moment. It's in that 2 to 3 foot range. You can see a little ruffle on the surface of the ocean there from the wind out to sea, and so it's quite a wild old day. A lot of rain out there. It's quite wet, but we're all here. We're stoked, and the vibe is still high.
That's right. Well, Shannon Hughes here in the booth to call the action alongside the 88 world champion Barton Lynch. And Barton, we're stoked for a day of repechage rounds. It means that the pressure has now mounted. We got our notes ready to go. We're excited to introduce you to more great surfers from around the world, whether they're names or faces you may be familiar with or not so much. There's a lot on the line this week with that Olympic qualification.
Absolutely. 14 spots available. across the men and the women. So it's going to be exciting stuff. And then this is do or die right now.
As we see Tizian up and riding on her backhand, opting to take off on this left. She's already got a 0.87 on the board, so she's sitting with that single highest score to start things off. Quick couple checks on those first opening maneuvers, and she'll go down on the last. Lipka from Poland sitting with a 0.83, so she's found herself with that opening ride at least. And Marzak out of Poland sitting with no scores to her name yet. She has that first priority. Still 16 minutes on the clock, so she's got plenty of time to take her pick of the waves that are coming through and see if she can do something to match the 2.4 that's just been dropped from Brem out of Guatemala.
And the priority represents the allocation of whose turn it is. Once you ride a wave, you go to the end of the line, so to speak, to wait for the next ride, and the surfers who have the priority are able to pick any wave that they want. Blue and red both having a look at this.
Teammates up and riding as we take a look at Blue on her backhand, Carolina. And a great effort to just put that hook in, kind of where that wave was starting to close out in front of her. Michalina just behind her, looking for some better positioning in the lineup. Now maybe in position for this left. And these women's heats at the moment are taking place at Rastrial, which is our third podium, and it's looking really fun. We've seen some great waves just like this one coming through throughout the week. That was a great opening turn. Sets herself up on the inside section, and she'll go down before being able to finish.
And you can see there she's kind of floating rather than standing on the reef. The reason for that is that on the bottom of the sea floor here, there's quite a lot of sea urchins or varna, and last thing you want, we know Katie Simmers just was the world #1 up until Sunset Beach, winning pipeline, but she came in contact with those sea urchins and consequently found herself in this repechage round earlier this morning, advanced with a great performance. So you've got to stay like a starfish, as they say, just float on that water and try and not allow your limbs to come into contact with the bottom just in case.
Yeah, we saw Michalina do that perfectly at the end of her wave, just staying really flat, floating a bit, getting that deep, getting all that air inside of you, a deep breath to keep yourself floating above. But yeah, for Katie, she took a pretty solid patch of spikes into the foot, unfortunately, but it looks like she's good to go after the heat that she had. We do have a live wave that we'll stick with for a moment as Brem from Guatemala has a look. She is unable to get into it. And so with that, let's go down to the beach to catch up with the winner of that last heat alongside Rachel Tilley.
We are down here with the winner of that last heat. There's a little bit of a language barrier. I've been practicing my Spanish, but not enough to do the translations here. So I will ask the questions in English, and she will respond in Spanish. My first question is, you've gotten 2 good scores out there. You were in the repecharge round. How did you find the confidence trying to make it through that repecharge heat?
Dice que pasaste primero en tu hit y que hiciste 2 buenos scores. ¿Cómo sentiste tu confianza en esta primera ronda de repechaje?
Bueno, la sentí bien porque pude, partí un poquito mal el hit, pero después lo terminé bien haciendo esos scores y muy feliz y contenta de poder representar a Chile ahora aquí en el Mundial ISA.
Now, this is the third new spot that you've surfed while you've been competing at the ISA, a new peak you were surfing at today. How did you find that wave?
Dice que es primera vez que se corre en este podio y cómo encontraste la ola.
Un poquito lento las condiciones y eso hace trabajar harto la paciencia, pero en general cuando encuentras la ola va bien buena.
Any messages you'd like to send back home to your country and family?
Si quería mandarle un saludo a la gente en Chile y a tu familia.
Sí, le mando saludos a mi papito, a mi hermana, a mi abuelita Luisa, a mi hermano Camilo, saludos a mi alcalde de Iquique, que me apoya harto él, saludos a mi sponsor, Cerizos, Marbella, Slap y Kisakumara, y a Fubax, que me ayuda con la cera. Así que muchas gracias y nos vemos pronto en el próximo round cuando vuelva a quedar primera.
Gracias. Good luck for your next heat.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
feel working with Brett?
Thanks so much, Rachel. Great to hear from Isadora and the excitement, finding that patience of kind of having to learn multiple waves throughout this event. That's what a lot of these surfers, every single surfer is pretty much having to deal with.
Absolutely. They've surfed all 3 of the breaks here on offer, which is amazing that we've got 3 right here in such close proximity. Isadora, only 14 years old. She's going to be the future of Chilean surfing for sure, and great to see that federation's giving that young lady the chance to gain the experiences she's going to need to take on that world stage at a later stage of her life when she's that bit older. I'm sure we'll be seeing her in the juniors in El Salvador as well.
We've got a paddle now, and we've got some scores that have been trickling in. 11 minutes on the clock, and it is Lipka for Poland, who's currently sitting in that leading position. A 4.17 just dropped in for the last left that we got to see during Isadora's interview. And she's improved on the 2.27, has herself in a nice position, sitting in that first place spot now with a 3.62 requirement on Brem out of Guatemala. Brem's top 2 waves being a 2.4 and then a 2.83 as her last. And Marzak for Poland with a quick in and out on that wave. She's been putting in some solid effort on the 2 opportunities she's had in front of her, but has just struggled more with that kind of pop up to gain speed on the takeoff Barton to be able to get herself really into that scoring equation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that pressure has been applied even more so because of the wave selection. And you've got to find those ones with the taper out there today so that you've got a wall. That's what Michelina did on that wave that we saw in the interview. Surfed that so well. Great synchronicity through 2 turns, quick turns, and got her a 4.17 and the lead. Surfer from Guam in second now with a 2.83 and a 2.4, so solid second place. The highest score of the heat so far, the 4.3, would be needed by Carolina. I'm sure Poland wanting both ladies to get through, but here we go.
Guatemala now up and riding for Tizian Brem. A couple nice forehand wraps. And she's looking for a 3.62.
And there's every chance she'll get that with those 2 turns, combination of turns, fluidly connected. Nice surfing. Pressure down on the back foot to get some good angles in the board. But I'm sure Poland would love to try and get both of their surfers through. Here we go, Carolina. Again, that late takeoff underneath the lip, and again that wave closed out very quickly. So she needs to start reading that wave as it's approaching her a little better and trying to find some corners to these longer walls and make sure she's got some time to get to the feet and get some maneuvers in.
Yeah, looking for those corners is a really important part of being able to connect with that rail of the surfboard, being able to get into that open face outside of the whitewater. Can be hard though, when you're thinking about the fact of changing venues and you kind of get to know one spot and you get to know takeoff zone and then you move to another and now there's lefts and rights, and this is the first that we're really getting to watch Rastrial. We'll get to watch it a lot more through the day and get to become a little bit more familiar with it. But from the waves that I had seen through the week, it seemed maybe like it was more of a left, where today with this little bit of wind swell, it's a little more broken up. There's a lot of fun looking rights on offer as well.
Yeah, it looks very much like a beach break, doesn't it? Michelina here.
Paddle for Michelina, sitting out in the leading position. Nice top turn to start, but just can't find that projection out of it. For both of our Polish surfers, they came into surfing a bit later in life. For Michelina, she's 34, and Carolina is 40. Both have been surfing for about 10 years now and have really enjoyed the opportunity to just be in the water with it. Polish Surfing Championship went to Carolina this year, and there she is up and riding on her forehand for the replay.
And we could see why. What a great combination of turns. That's the 4.17. And it's never too late to start, that's for sure. People always ask you that, I'm too old to learn to surf. You go, no, you're not. Here we go. Look at this. Much better wave selection.
Great wave selection from our surfer in blue, Carolina. My apologies, before it was Michelina on that left. And that's going to really start to turn the heat around now for Carolina. Chasing down a 5.51. This is going to be a great opportunity for her to chip away that requirement. But within the mix of that exchange, we've seen a 4.17 now dropped for Guatemala's Tizian Brem, and it's taken her up into that leading position. Really close between first and second at the moment. Not a lot dividing it, just the strength of that 2.83 behind Brem. has her sitting in that leading position. And she was an athlete that grew up in Guatemala with the dream of going to the Olympics in the equestrian sporting field.
Right.
On horseback riding.
Yeah.
She rode for the Guatemalan team for 3 Pan American Games, trying to make it happen. And at some stage within that, she started surfing and just felt her passions changed completely. Now she's pursuing it as a surfer instead.
Ah, that's just wonderful, isn't it? And you know, once the surfing bug gets you, everything else just falls by the wayside because it's so all-consuming. It's a really difficult sport to do part-time. You know, surfing is, because it's, you know, the ocean itself requires such a level of fitness to be able to go paddle out and claw your way through the ocean on a little twig. It's you know, you've got to be super fit, and then you've got to have the knowledge of the ocean that you can't buy, you can't be taught. You need to earn that the hard way, but through experience. Oh, nice backhand re-entry.
Ah, fantastic. Setting herself up with a potential better score. We kind of missed what happened at the start of that wave. If she was able to get that opening turn in before that closeout section. Coming up in that next heat, we saw Ruby Knox from Ireland down on the shoreline, just getting ready to paddle out. And for Tizian, that story of, you know, having an Olympic dream as in the equestrian field, it's the exact same as our reigning world champion in Caroline Marks. As a young kid, Caroline rode horses. She was really good at it. She really loved it. And at some stage within that, surfing just took over and occupied the rest of her life. And within that, she's become, you know, one of the best names within women's surfing globally. And she now has a world title to her name as well, which is incredible. And she's had those very close opportunities in the past as well as runner-up.
Here's another one of those parts of surfing that makes it a little more difficult than other sports. The rock dance. You know, having to tippy-toe your way across all sorts of rocks and barnacles and natural obstacles to get out into the water.
Natural and man-made off of this little bridge.
There you go.
Kind of a perfect entry spot, though.
And I suppose by walking out onto the rocks along the leftovers of what was a groin or a jetty there, you get that opportunity to move, not have to put your feet into the water where you can't see, and onto the rocks and the potential for sea urchins. And you can see there's a little channel right there that our surfers in that next heat get to paddle out through.
Fun setup today, having both of, you know, we're running 2 podiums throughout the week for a lot of the week. Eventually we'll get down to that single podium, but with 266 surfers in the draw and having a double elimination format where everybody gets to surf twice all the way through to the finals day, you have to have the space to get through all those heats, and that means 2 podiums at every ISA event.
Yep.
The occasional thought of, okay, at what stage are we going to have to introduce a third, like
and
a legitimate third?
Yeah.
To be able to actually get through all the heats. And for today, it's fun to have El Pico and Rastreal as the 2 venues that are being surfed because they're really close to each other. And everyone's going to have a really easy time just getting back and forth in that support system between the 2. Can even be out in the water at one and having a look at how the surf is at the other.
Yeah, you can watch both breaks from the same location for the teams and the coaches. And
they happen to have surfers from the same, you know, different genders, because the genders are kind of operating in different times.
Yes.
Women opening on this side, men opening on the other side, and then they'll swap for the afternoon. So we'll have men on this podium and women on the other podium for the afternoon. But the teams can just set up right in the middle if they've got surfers surfing in back-to-back heats or even at the same time.
Yeah. And makes the whole experience much easier. We have had locations where you'd have to jump into a car to get to the second podium, and your coaches and surfers are buzzing back and forward between heats, especially as we get through the rounds. Now there's quite a few heats in a round, so there's quite a lot of time to, you know, get from one place to the next. But as those numbers of heats in a round get down, as we eliminate surfers, becomes more of a hustle between them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've got a paddle here from our surfer with priority is red. She's really digging in deep. You can see the way she's got that center of gravity down. I don't know that she was going to be able to get into it, but this is going to be an interesting situation because her own teammate in blue had a lower priority. She was under that 3rd priority as red was having a deep dig into it.
I don't think she was ever going to get it, and I bet as teammates, if she would have seen her teammate earlier, she was sort of concentrating on her own thing at that point in time. She most probably would have backed out because she knows she's getting through, and she would have loved her teammate to come through with her, although young Tizian is holding the lead now. So we've got one Polish surfer in the advancing position. Top two go through, third and fourth. Some of these heats have 4 ladies, some 3, depending on how the draw worked out.
Yeah, you can see the 2 podiums are so close together. So we're currently sitting on top of this big white tent is podium 2, which is El Pico. And then just up the way, you start to see coming into view the tent for our second podium at Rastrial. You can see the surfers kind of spaced out between the 2 as well.
And it looks like the rain has stopped out there.
It was a pretty heavy storm when we arrived this morning. Everyone's a little bit wet. Shoes are wet if anyone was wearing tennis shoes this morning, for sure. Myself included. But I was looking at the radar and it said it was going to just kind of blow through early and we should have sunshine for the rest of the day, which means once that sun hits, it's going to be a pretty humid day as everything starts to dry out.
Exactly.
Down to the final minute for podium 3, which is where our women have started out the morning for Repecharge round 1 at Rastrial. And all of the pressure is now on Karolina for Team Poland, having a look back to see if, where she's at in priority. Is she going to have an opportunity to get that 4.21? Doesn't look like the judges have pushed any sort of interference between the 2 Polish teammates during that paddle. I absolutely agree that it didn't look like Michalina was going to have any chance of actually catching that wave, though she was trying to get into it. Karolina now up and riding on her forehand. It's a great looking snap to start. If she's able to combination that.
And you could see the determination. She realized she's in third place. There's our surfer from Guam.
So Tizian just with a smile on her face to come in, and Michalina laying it up into the section to try and finish off. Pulling that board back, getting that leash off of her leg quickly maybe. And we may see some of that starfishing on the way in. Those boards flipped upside down as well to make sure those fins aren't going to snag. And big smiles from these 2 as they have finished out likely in those top 2 positions. We are still waiting on that score button to come through for Last of Karolina with that frontside hit.
Needed a 4.21, which would have been the highest score of the heat so far. I believe the 4.17s, both for the advancing surfers, were most probably better scores. So I don't think that changes anything. But it was, her last 2 rides were her best 2 rides. So, although eliminated, Karolina will have that feeling like, well, at least I, started to show what I'm capable of towards the back end there. So congrats to all the ladies.
Well, a 2.23 for Last of Karolina has her bowing out of competition for Team Poland, but they still have another in Michalina Lipka paddling in now. She'll be into the next round alongside of Brem from Guatemala. We've got more action to come when we return.
Yeah, I have a reef for 20 years. My reef business card said Jefe, which is chief, and dreamer. La Jefe and dreamer, Spanish and English. That was a card I would give to the president of the bank or whatever. He always made people laugh. Because, they got like talking, when I asked them for an extra $1 million in loan to buy sandals, and the guy looks and says, I never lent money to somebody with this title,
When Paris finally said, no, we're going to do a whole different thing. We're going to Chopu. It's like we all went, oh my God, what an amazing idea.
Chopu is one of the most incredible waves, probably a wonder of the world.
And it's just sort of like a whole nother world out there. It's godlike, it's quiet, serene, beautiful. Then you have this glorious wave that comes off a reef, and it's so powerful and so beautiful.
I think Chopu has the opportunity to capture the imagination visually for what people think surfing is.
The wave at Teahupo is super scary and beautiful at the same time.
I have to give them a lot of props for the courage of making a commitment to Tahiti.
I think it'll be a really exciting way to showcase all the athletes and their talent.
I think it's going to be very good.
Welcome back to the action. We're here in beautiful Puerto Rico, and this reef has some great waves running over it. Also, a few sea urchins floating through the grounds, making it that much more treacherous for each of the surfers entering the lineup. We're now into Repecharge, round 1, heat number 10. 4 surfers in this heat. Top 2 will be advancing through as we see some live action on the inside, Barton.
Looked like some great opening rides there, Shannon. There's the lineup. Argentina, Ireland, Colombia, and Norway.
Great looking heat. Ornella Pellizzari is a surfer that no one wants to draw. She is such a fierce competitor. She's in her mid-30s now and has been one of those really outstanding surfers through the last couple of decades. Ruby Knox, Angelina Descasare, and Hele Loveseth, all with a tough ask in front of them, going up against the Argentinian powerhouse in Ornella. She's dropped a 3.83 to start things off, and she'll be feeling a little bit gutted to be in this Repecharge round so early, and I think it's going to give that extra fire to be making it through.
Yeah. And while you look at this picture, and it looks like a beach break type of condition, the drone footage shows you how shallow the reef is, and there's no sand out there whatsoever. It's all reef, so always a little more treacherous when you're surfing over a reef, and takes a little more attention to the details, more so than what sand does. And then when you look down the beach, you can see where the men are surfing in this, right there at El Pico.
That's right. Men are in the water right now for their opening round of the day, which is Repecharge round 1. They've got to finish that one out as we take a look at some replays here with the opening wave of Ornella.
Really nice snap on the forehand, pumping and driving into the cutout. The way you finish the wave, just, while it may seem unimportant, really, because it's over, it's still a part of the performance, and a nice clean finish is always something that leaves a good impression in the judges' minds. Whoa.
Ruby Knox with a quick up and down.
That was a quick up and down.
Uses priority on it as well, so she'll now go down to the bottom of the chain.
And always such a, you losing your priority without a score of consequence, particularly early, and you go to the bottom of the 4-person rotation, is never a good thing. It's a big mistake. So for Ireland there, Ruby Knox could be disappointed to have not got a wave of consequence, but she might get another chance here, having a look and having a paddle.
Paddle now for Ruby. Great positioning. She's got that clean section in front of her to be able to tag the lip, and unable to complete it. Let's go down to the beach though to catch up with Rachel Tilley and Tizian Brim, who took out the win in that last heat.
I am down on the beach here with Tiziana, who has just won that last heat. Your smile is big. Your happiness says it all. Tell me about how you feel on that heat.
I'm super, super happy. I think I'm as happy as someone that's going to qualify to the Olympics in this tournament. It's the first time I make a heat, and I'm super, super happy. It's really hard. We're all in a different process, and for me, making my first round of repechage was my goal, and I'm super, super happy, proud of my team of Guatemala. I hope we get better and better every time we come to these events, and yeah.
I love that. What does it mean to you to be here representing your country, and what does having Guatemala represented in the ISA do for surfing back home?
Yeah, representing your country is the proudest thing, I think. My country has given me all the opportunities, and it's a way of saying thanks, maybe with a result to the country. And for us, I think this is the opportunity to travel. We're supported by our association and country. So it's an opportunity to meet new friends, actually like have the level. So you go back to your country and you're like clear of what you need to work on. So it's coming to this event is the best.
That's so great. We're so happy for you. I know your country's happy for you too and proud of you. Is there anything you'd like to say back to them?
Yes, muchísimas gracias, mamá, papá, mi familia y más que nada a mis amigas. Ustedes saben quiénes son, me han enseñado a surfear, las admiro y bueno, las voy a seguir viendo en este evento. Espero que lleguen a cumplir sus metas y bueno, feliz por hoy. Gracias.
Gracias. Congratulations. See you next round. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Rage. Great to hear from Tizian. What a bright and shining star.
Does anything, she just summed everything up in that interview. The smile said it all anyway. And then with the words she spoke, everybody has different goals. There are surfers here wanting to get to the Olympic Games, and there's surfers here just wanting to get through a repechage heat. And she achieved that goal. We felt the joy, and the fact that she's clear about what she is doing here, and the fact that they go home. One, you're making friends, global friends. You're getting to travel the world through surfing, represent your country, and then you're a part of this global surfing community. So many beautiful things said there that touched my heart. I was sitting here with just such joy for her and for all of us as a part of this wonderful moment. And while the professional sport is just all about that top end and winning and losing and all of that stuff, this event is about so much more, and you see it in those developing nations, and Guatemala would be very proud of her.
Ornella now up and riding for Team Argentina, driving down the line, finds the section and rides out really well. Surfing has her and Sarah Baum for Team South Africa have such a similar style on that forehand attack.
417 and a 383 already. And you can see why, because the speed she's able to generate, as we see the Argentinian support team there as well. The fact that, Tiziana spoke to the government support and being able to travel, and that's one of the great things for the nations as the Olympic recognition comes for the sport. They start to get the support of the government. They look at our sport as something more than just a recreation on the side, and here we go, green. Angelina
with an opportunity in front of her. Still just a young surfer, a Grom out in the lineup. She's been competing for Colombia for a really long time. Nice forehand wrap to finish with. Doesn't entirely find the projection to kind of push out of it.
Long ride though, good length. And let's send a shout out to her father, Johnny, who's a great cameraman. Worked in all sorts of surfing events. Here's Ruby Knox.
Ruby just trimming through those first two sections. She's looking for a 4.20. She'll be chipping away at those 1-point rides that she opened up with. Team Ireland down on the shoreline with the flags. And yeah, for Angie, she's had a great opportunity with her dad, Johnny, and his kind of his role, his jobs within the surfing scene, the global surfing scene, to be able to travel a lot, to be able to surf with some of the world's best surfers, to be part of some of those programs that are development programs for girls around the world.
Yep.
And it's given her this incredible platform, being born and raised in Colombia, moved to Los Angeles at a young age with her family, and for her now to have this opportunity to be representing, her home where she was born on a global stage with, I think, a lot of those little moments that she's been able to pull together within her life.
Yes.
Is a really special thing to see.
Absolutely, and it's just getting started. And there's just so much opportunity there through this event, through the connections that her father has, the legitimacy of the family's connection to the sport. And she just got her second highest scoring ride, the 277, has her in second place. Big score. Oh, look at the big score for Ornella, 633. The speed that she was able to generate into those maneuvers.
Judges really rewarding those big in-section finishes as well. It's nice to see that as we are kind of starting to see more of the waves that are coming through here. Be interesting to see how many of those really stand up on that inside and give that opportunity with a little bit of consequence, knowing that it's a bit shallow underneath. Ruby only scoring a 1.83 on that last wave. You can sense there's a little bit of frustration maybe within her right now as we take another look at this wave from Ornella, the 6-point ride.
And it was, here we go from the front on angle, which the judges look at. Look at this speed. Look how the way she's driving a surfboard down the line into that beautiful closeout turn. Rode the lip line of the breaking wave perfectly. Experience is showing there. And Hele from Norway. A couple of smaller scores, looking to improve on that 0.40. Only, 367, 377 the ask for Ruby and Hele to go into that advancing position, top 2 through. Here we go. Here's a chance for Ruby.
Ruby, oh, what a beautiful looking wave. Great wave selection. Nice hit off the top. Comes in for the second. This is that moment she's been waiting for. Tags it together on the end, throws the claim in the shakas, and now the smile has arrived on Ruby's face, and this heat is on.
Yeah, that was a great wave. Good connection between the turns. Got 3 of them in, and it's going to be her best score for sure. 377, there's every chance she gets that score and will go into an advancing position, I think.
Ruby's a fantastic longboarder. She's a national champion in Ireland on the longboard. She competed last year in El Salvador for the ISA World Longboard Championships. So it's awesome to see her and how she's performing now on a shortboard. You can see some of that style coming from the longer equipment she'd usually ride.
You can, can't you? Definitely in the flow and rhythm she was able to gather along the face of that one. Jumps to her feet, nice and fast. Look at the wall. Great wave selection, first and foremost. Bang, out of the lip. Straight again, bang, out of the lip. Let's watch the smile after this one. Comes down the face, looks and goes, looks in. You know, when you look in and you see your country's flag and your teammates, the teammates would have been jumping around. Yeah, there they are, look.
So good. Giving her straight instructions as well. All
straight back out the back. Get straight back out there.
Get her into position. Now knowing she's right back in the mix. Ornella with a great combination on the inside. She's looking a bit stealthy as she finishes off. A little stare back.
Yeah,
no big claims from this one. The Irish crew, again, just giving some instructions, some positioning. We've got a score, and it's a 4.2 for last of Ruby Knox, so it's moved her up into that second place position. Great lead over third and fourth, now chasing 3s and 4-point rides. And that paddle, she'll actually maybe be able to hold on to that priority because the other 2 surfers are on the inside section. But she's now within striking distance of, the 6.31. Should she be on a bigger wave and finds those kind of maneuvers, she's right there. But also, if she can back up the 4 with another score similar, it's going to be really challenging for the rest of the field as we take a look at Ornella.
2-turn combination, quick, sharp, and fast. Really doesn't, she's in such a strong position. She's just looking to build on her lowest score. Could have got a little higher maybe on that lip line floated at the end there. So there was some room for improvement on that wave. Second score of 417. I mean, there is a chance that it could be a little bit better than that. We'll see how the judges feel about it. Look at the hand signals and the yelling and the whistling from the team.
We're down to 5 minutes on the clock.
And I suppose the byproduct is you start to question yourself and you start to wonder where you should be and how you should play it. I suppose with second priority over third place, who's in third priority, Angelina, there is the opportunity to sit right by Angelina. And I think that's what the coaching staff for Ireland is saying. Go and sit on her. Use your priority to get rid of some time, 4.5 minutes. So still plenty of time, but you don't necessarily need to worry about that's, now she's making her way towards green and she'll sit somewhere within proximity to Angelina, and then she'll be able to control what Angelina does with having, being above her in the priority roster. Angelina looking around, focused on the ocean, not really paying much attention to the other ladies.
An opportunity now for Hele. She is a former professional football player.
There was a loss of first priority, by the way, that was going to be very costly. She's in fourth place. There's 4 minutes. She doesn't have time to waste, and the loss of priority will be very difficult. Football player.
Former football player.
Football as in soccer football?
I believe as in soccer.
Okay.
Football.
Yep.
Coming out of Norway. And she says that it's hard to be not very good at what you do, especially compared to your competitors when you're competitive. So she's kind of, she says it's an apple you have to swallow when it comes to her being a surfer. Right. Because she's as a former football player, taking a look now at some live action, Angela has second priority. Ruby Knox actually could have gone on that wave because she had first priority. So, and it kind of created a little confusion for Angelina even.
Well, Angelina really was kind of forcing her to paddle and lose her priority. What happens when Angelina keeps paddling after Ruby has lost her priority? So Ruby lost her priority. Angelina got the priority over her. She kept paddling and most probably lost her priority as well.
I reckon she lost
continuing
the priority on
to paddle.
Definitely.
So there was the opportunity. She maybe should have just pulled straight back once she realised that her opponent had lost the priority and she had gained it, and then looked for a wave with that, because I did see her in the 4th priority, so she dropped right down that priority roster with the paddle.
She'll be right down the bottom. Next heat, paddling out now. Just 3 surfers in it. Top 2 will be advancing through.
But there's a score to drop for green as well. So she got a wave. We can see her paddling out from the inside there. We haven't seen that ride yet, so we're not sure what it was, what the potential of it is. She's looking for a 3-2-1, 2 minutes and 15 on the clock. And I bet her dad Johnny's just squirming in his seat right now.
Excellent description of exactly what Johnny's doing right now. 2 minutes on the clock, and this has been an intense repechage heat.
It really is.
One of probably the more intense ones we've seen throughout this round, now into the 10th heat of it. Some of the heats don't have 4 surfers in it, only because of the opening round not being completely filled.
Yep.
So some of those, just depending on the seedings and not having an entirely full field of competitors.
2.4 for Angelina doesn't change the situation. A 6.4 for Anela Pelizzari from Argentina she her lead. First priority as well. She's paddled. She's going to lose her priority. She knew she made a mistake. It's not a mistake she's going to pay for, but they never feel good to make anyway.
Yeah.
Will Angelina with 1 minute. She's in the 3rd priority. Again, Ruby's in 2nd priority. So we know what the flag bearers and coaches of Ireland are doing. They're pointing towards Angelina and going, get over there and use your priority to control your destiny.
She's got the kick going on as well as she's paddling. It's pretty standard of longboarders, myself. A little kick in our paddle all the time to give a little extra momentum. And she's going to stay so close to Angelina. You can see
first priority with Hele as well.
How intense it is in the water right now. Hele with a potential opportunity. She is chasing that 4.11. Angelina is going to have to straighten out. Ruby falls on the takeoff. So that no scores there are going to factor into anything that happens. There won't be any priority issues because it was Ruby with that higher priority. She had the opportunity to take off on Angelina. And now Hele with an opportunity, the former football player, goes in for a huge hit on her backhand, makes a big turn on the buzzer, as we see Ornella with one last victory lap, just starting to loosen up now on her backhand and really looking stylish as she comes through to the inside. She is a phenomenal aerialist, so it'll be fun to see later in the event if she gets a wave with an opportunity, a little ramp for her. We'll see her take to that. And wow, what a way to finish that heat off.
Yeah, it was an exciting heat. Argentina and Ireland qualifying, Colombia and Norway out of the event.
Well done to Ornella. We've got another score to drop here, but she's already sitting with those couple of 6s. And huge props to Hele Lovseth for that final effort. She gave herself a 2.97, nearly a 3 for that single maneuver. And a great effort from both Norway and Colombia. Argentina and Ireland advancing through. Ornella Pelizzari, a surfer to keep your eyes on within the repechage rounds. We've got more action to come when we return.
Puerto Rico, we call ourselves Boricua, a unique name honoring our island heritage and the vibrant spirit of our people. When you bask in the warmth of our beaches, when you taste the love in our food, when you embrace the call of our adventures, you'll find that spirit in yourself. Dare to live every moment. Live Boricua.
¿Dónde quieres ir? Que mami yo te llevo. restaurante Michelin. Estamos en otro level, porque ahora ando en yates y aviones. Se nos dio, ahora somos ganadores. Hicimos a quemate, par de millones. En Aventador llegando a las mansiones. Todo comenzó jugando, ponte ready que ya voy llegando. De una picaco, todo comenzó jugando.
Welcome back to the action here. We've just seen Ruby Knox make her way through into the next round. She had a really tough kind of first half of that heat. First 10 minutes were not looking positive in any way, Martin.
No, and really, to be honest, in my mind, I went, well, she may not get through this heat. And then she clicked on the engine and the performance just rose. And she selected that one really great wave, went into second place, and then played her cards right. Stopped Angelina on 2 occasions from getting rides that looked like good waves or good enough to score what she needed. So she, after a slow start, she ended up selecting waves really well, surfing really well, and then competing strategically to solidify the win at the end. So great performance.
Great performance. Another great performance about to start out. Heat number 11 for Rapid Charge Round 1. Netherlands, American Samoa, and the Dominican Republic. With Mirna Bolsma, Sive Gerard, and Feliz Astacio in the water right now. And we're just waiting for that buzzer to start from the judging panel. And there we go. Just under 20 minutes on the clock now. No waves ridden for the start of this heat. And you can see Feliz just putting a little bit of distance between herself and the other 2 competitors. Heaps of rain when we arrived this morning.
Yep.
Challenging when you're in one of those first heats of the morning and you kind of come in and it's not the most pleasant of conditions and you're trying to just get yourself ready and everything's wet.
Yeah. And I think that the early heats are hard on their own. You've had no examples. Here we go.
Sive now up and riding for American Samoa. She's got a beautiful style. I can't wait to see her find herself within this heat. Nice couple turns to start off with. Little check under the lip and she'll kick out. And let's go down to the beach quickly because Ornella is already out of the water and she is with Rachel now.
It's Ornella. I'm here with Ornella, the winner of that last heat. Congratulations. Now there was a large battle for second place going on. You with those 2 6s looking solid, were out in the lead, having a dominant win. Talk to me about your strategy going into that heat.
Well, thank you to start. Well, my strategy was just to start quick, start catching some waves. Feels good to start surfing. My first hit in the main event, it was awful. I couldn't get anything, couldn't even prove that I could surf, and feels good to start surfing. Just improve my score wave after wave and do my best in what the ocean can give you because it dropped a lot, and just trying to do the best in these open faces the ocean gives you.
Now, when you say you weren't that happy with your performance in the main round, what is that from that heat to now? What have you been working on mentally to prepare you and regroup and get ready for this heat?
It just be strong, keep going, change. It's the past. Keep moving forward and stay positive and keep motivating. The team all together. Keep pushing each other to take our flag into the highest and give everything. Every time I paddle out, I want to, if I surf bad, until the last second of the heat, just keep going, paddling, do the effort, 100%. That's my mindset.
And we have a couple of boards here. You have this one that you're holding. You have your backup, the one that you're riding in the heat, sitting here next to us. Tell us a little bit about the equipment that you have with you.
The difference between these 2 boards is the tail. This is a little bit stiffer, more for maybe the days before when it was more barreling or more sucky, more powerful waves. But I have a new board, so I haven't really had the time to try them. But yeah, squash tail is a little bit looser for today, and They're made in Argentina. My shaper probably watching, Manuel. Gracias, monito. Y voy a agradecer a todos en Argentina por el apoyo total que siempre tenemos, por habernos seguido. Vamos a Argentina, luego todavía se puede por el repechaje, así que nada, un abrazo y gracias a todos por estar mirando.
Well, thank you, congratulations, and we'll throw it back to you guys in the booth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Always love hearing from Ornella and getting to watch her surf. Feeling pretty stoked to see her advance through that heat. Like, you could feel within her that she was so gutted to be in that repechage round this early.
Well, and she felt like a serious character. Ornella didn't feel like someone you mess with, mate. She was like, no, she knew what she had to do. She knew what she was going to do. And the disappointment of that opening round, of the second round elimination and ending up here has really driven her to a level within herself. And that's what happens. And we saw that in the surfing she did. She won the heat easily, very dominant from the start to the finish, just kept building and put on a fantastic performance.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what Jess Grimwood has always told me about Ornella's surfing. So Jess is one of our co-commentators. She's not here for this event, but works plenty of ISA events with us, of course. And Jess is a longtime competitor from the qualifying series from years and years. And they used to draw each other in heats all the time. And she said it was always like, if you saw Ornella was in your heat, you just knew it was going to be hectic. You know, it was going to be on. Like, the surfing was going to be all time. It was going to be a really intense battle. And I love still seeing that from Ornella, like a little bit later on in her year, still with all that same drive, really similar to a Silvana Lima as well, just here to play. And here we go with some live action from Mirna out of the Netherlands. That was a beautiful looking snap to start. Sets herself up for that next section. I like the way that she could just kind of see out off of her backhand, eyeing up those next sections as she was going.
And the first wave she had that we saw during the interview was amazing as well. Well, better than that one, I think. That one had great potential. The first turn looked amazing, and then she kind of lost her way, and the wave got confusing as well. There was white water at the top and a bit of green face at the bottom. It was hard to know where to go and what line to choose. It's one of the most important parts of being a competitive surfer, or any surfer for that matter, is choosing the right line on the wave and matching the line to the perfect moments on the wave, so that you create this fluid dance with nature in a moment. And that's what's so wonderful about it, is you connect with this moving bit of energy, and when you connect with it perfectly, you can feel it, the judges sense it, and that's when the big scores drop.
Well, 13 minutes, 45 seconds on the clock. A 5.5 has dropped in for Mirna, straight from the judging panel. And a 3.83 backs it up. So the 5.5 was that first one that came through during the interview. And Sive now sitting with a 2.67 and a 1.87. And then a 2.77 on the board for Feliz. So tight between first and second. But Mirna has done very well to capitalize on those first two opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. Put the pressure on right from the siren. 13, 15 to go. Wave approaching the lineup. In third priority, Mirna. Here we go. Green, though, with first priority, Feliz.
Setting herself up for that opening snap. Looking to see if she can make it around this section, and she does it with ease. Sets herself up here for two great snaps to finish.
Really nice technique, use of the arms, rotation of the upper body, solid foundation.
18 years old, from the Dominican Republic. She grew up and lives in a town called Cabarete and loves surfing at Encuentro Beach. Paddle now from Mirna, who's from Scheveningen Beach in the Netherlands.
Say that again?
Scheveningen?
Good job.
Beautiful
snap.
I hope so. Great looking surfing from Mirna. But surfing in the Netherlands is a complicated scenario.
Yes.
Because they're relying on wind swell all the time, and it can go flat for weeks and weeks. She said her and her brother both surf there. They surf for the national team, and you just have to be really, really patient to be a surfer coming out of the Netherlands.
Not to mention the temperatures, and you know what I mean. That you're up in the north of Europe, and it's, you know, winters are cold. It's hard to get the consistency, isn't it, that you may in a tropical place with consistent waves. But you wouldn't know it. Watching her wave selection has been amazing. Her surfing and her positioning on the waves has just been beautiful. That was the opening 5.5, I believe. It was really well surfed. Look at these beautiful lefts running down this reef here. Yeah, it's been a great performance. Came out early, focused. Snapping, there's the last ride as well. Improves on the 383 of 4.2. So good judging and great surfing.
Yeah, really setting herself up well here. The nice thing for, a lot of these surfers from those more eastern, not even Eastern European nations, but the ones that aren't on the Atlantic coastline, specifically, France, Spain, Portugal, that have that access to big open ocean swells. They're so close to those countries that they can hop on a plane, they can take a train ride and be there so quickly to be able to spend a weekend surfing.
That's the wonderful thing, isn't it, about Europe? There's other kids go across the border to another country with another language.
And from there, for surfers out of the Netherlands, out of Germany, out of Switzerland, they have access to so many world-class waves along the coastline of France, Spain, and Portugal that whatever the conditions are they need to be training for an upcoming event like this is the 5th time that we've seen Mirna on Team Netherlands for the World Surfing Games. That they've got a pick of quite a few spots to be able to go, okay, where are we going for the World Surfing Games this year? Where do we need to put some team training into?
Yeah.
What location a few months out or in the year in preparation do we need to start spending time in any of those 3 more powerful surfing nations on the Atlantic coastline?
Yeah, powerful surf that they have there.
And literal powerful
and there's beach
surf.
breaks and reef breaks, and you can go to warmer parts and cooler parts. So there's the opportunity, as you suggested, to tailor your training outside of your own country, and not have to travel too far to find those type of conditions to train in. Love the Netherlands, been there a couple of times. Fantastic place. We see Polaris Carreras from Puerto Rico. We'll be hearing some shouting and some hooting and some hollering from the crowd, no doubt about it. Look at the bottom of the board in the national colours there too.
Oh yeah, I love when surfers just decked out their equipment, put their own flair, whether it is those kind of team colors, those national colors, or some artwork. Maybe they've drawn on it, maybe they've got a friend that's an artist. You get those Posca pens and you can really just go to town.
That's the great thing about a surfboard. It is a canvas. It's a canvas to ride and a canvas to work on as well if you're artistically inclined.
Down to 9 minutes on the clock. And Mirna out to just a really solid start, putting herself near that 10-point heat total. Belize sitting in that second place position, chasing a 6.20. That just shows that requirement always kind of shows the strength of that heat leader.
Yes.
If that second place requirement to take the win is big, that heat leader is really dominated.
Yes.
And then that requirement on that third place surfer is only a 3.6, so it's really close between second and third at the moment. Only the top 2 will be advancing through, and the bottom surfer will be eliminated from competition today. So Sive, she has a little bit of work to do, but not that much, and she's such a skilled surfer. The whole Gerard family representing for American Samoa event after event, but she hasn't been able to find that rhythm and that drive that she needs within the water right now.
Yeah, that was a shame, that one. The wave kind of doubled up, and you saw there was a lump in front of it that the whitewater ran onto the back of, and it lost its power. She had first priority, didn't turn that first priority into a score of consequence, so that's always a mistake, I suppose, and it gives your opponents who then have priority over you the opportunity to sit by you and control what you do or don't do. And Sive, your job, I suppose, in that sense is to move away from your opponents a little bit and find some space and distance so they can't control you or dictate terms. Mirna, you said it was the 5th time that she's represented the Netherlands, and that experience showed in this heat. There's still 7.5 minutes to go, but right from the very start, she was active, confident, and the experience was showing for sure.
That's right. Her favorite wave is Uluwatu. So she's been able to spend some time traveling. It's always nice when you have a favorite wave like that and you actually kind of scored when you went there. It's become your favorite wave because you went and actually in the week or the 2 maybe that you were there. Sometimes you have that opportunity to go on, a month-long holiday and just surf heaps, maybe a training trip. But to be able to just actually get to a wave like Ulu's, experience what it's all about.
Oh, I love that wave, and it is one of the most consistent waves. It's not hard to score it, and even your every single day is pretty good there through that season of surf, call it sort of March through to September, you know, that period of time. And great part of the Bukit Peninsula is just one of the surfing meccas of the world. Incredible waves. And we miss Bali. Can't wait to go back. Love that place.
Nice looking peak coming through now.
Oh, so
wow.
Sive in the third priority then could have been a little more active and forced some action out of first priority, I felt like, you know, but didn't really sucker her into it. Here we go.
Mirna now up and riding. Nice looking pocket to start with. Throws a lot of spray out of that opening turn. Pumping down the line, looking for that finish now. We've seen some big scores come from that ending section. She won't be able to hold on to the finish. She's starting to get to know this wave a little better. She's got a big smile on her face regardless.
Yeah, that won't change the situation as such. Here goes Sive. She's got an opportunity. Snaps out of the top, cuts back.
Pumping, setting it up for this inside reform, and just tags it under the lip. So she's looking still for that 3.60.
There's a chance. The fact that last little turn off the whitewater and she stayed on her feet, there's a chance that wave could be, perhaps it's just shy, but there is a chance. Look at that lovely drone shot. What a wonderful thing the drones have been for the broadcast.
Yeah,
and the angles and the pictures we get to see out.
We've been able to see, you know, the kind of more details of the reef here, get to know that better, which is always nice from a drone angle. We've also gotten to see now that those beautiful mountain ranges out behind us.
Yeah, and the town
in the jungle
of Arecibo. Yeah, beautiful countryside.
Beam down on the beach. We're just underneath that 5-minute mark. We've got a big day of surfing ahead of us. If you're just tuning in now, there are some rapid charge heats happening today. So we're currently in our rapid charge round 1. We've got 11 heats in this rapid charge round, and we'll be heading into men's 11 heats that we're running today. There's 16 total within the round, because we were able to get started with those first 5 heats yesterday. Once we finish out with heat number 16 of the women, we're going to be heading into men's rapid charge round 2. There's 18 heats total, and our goal today is to get through that entire round.
Yep.
We're doing the same thing, and we're swapping where the women will be surfing their rapid charge round 2, all 16 heats at El Pico, which is that group of surfers that you can see just off to the left-hand side of the screen. Those are all competitors. They've got a heat changeover happening at the moment, which is why you see more than 4 in the lineup. And they're starting out with the final 11 heats of their rapid charge round for men's round 1. They were able to get through the first 7 heats yesterday. So just kind of swapping back and forth. We'll get some great coverage of both the men's and the women's today on the broadcast, and we'll get to hear from a lot of those surfers.
Oh, big set.
Great opportunity as we come down to 3 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock. Paddle now from Feliz as she's setting herself up on her forehand, looking to improve on a 2.77 to start to close the door a little harder on Sive, and that was a nice re-entry.
Yeah, single turn, bit of a closeout, but a bigger wave, and the bottom turn was beautiful, connected with the lip with great timing, completed it. There is a chance she improves and ups the ask for Sive. Sive only got a 2.33, so didn't get what she needed. She needs another ride. She's got 2 minutes and 50. Red with the first priority and the lead, dominant position from the start of this one. Sive with the second priority, so that's good. She will get another chance, you'd imagine, before this is over to get that 3.6, or does it improve, or does the ask go up? Here we go, up again for Liz.
All right, setting it up for the first turn. The board just gets blasted off of her feet. A 2.9 was her last wave, set her up with a more significant second place position. A 3.73 now is the requirement on Sive. Her last wave came through for Sive at a 2.33, so she was able to improve her overall heat total, but it needs to be a score higher than her highest score of that 2.67 to actually decrease her requirement to take away the lead. So she hasn't quite been able to do that for American Samoa. We're down to 2 minutes on the clock. Sive putting herself in position here under second priority, giving it a strong paddle. Now up and riding on her backhand, and just kind of links it underneath the lip for a moment, but can't find that open face again.
And the wave itself, she was just behind the breaking part of the wave and stuck in that wider water. The wave itself was enough, I think. It had that nice tapering wall, and a couple of backhand re-entries on that one could have seen her get the score. Just that positioning for the takeoff meant she was a little bit behind the whitewater and didn't get a chance. Still a minute 25. She could get another chance as well. So you can see she's trying to power her way back out the back fast as possible so that she can hopefully get another chance to surf.
Strong paddles. Seems like that's a really important part of even just the takeoff today, because the wave seems a little bit slow, right? It's a lot crumblier compared to what we've been watching on broadcast the last couple days at Magara, which has a quick takeoff. You got to be ready to go up on your feet in an instant. This one seems like you kind of have to have quite a lot of paddling speed to be able to have momentum on takeoff, so that you can create a little bit of speed on this wave as well.
Absolutely. You need to be able to generate, you want to get up to your speed up to the same speed that the wave is traveling for it to pick you up, and the earlier it picks you up and you can jump to your feet, the more time you've got to set things up and make sure that you're in the right position and use the wave's face as a skateboard ramp really to build speed. Here's Feliz.
Feliz with a little double up on the inside, sets herself up for the single maneuver, and that nose goes in.
She hasn't been able to improve her position for quite some time. So, again, that won't improve, and she'll leave the door open just that little bit. 10 seconds. Will Sive Jared from America Samoa get another chance?
5 seconds to go. Sive, we can't see her on screen right now. She also doesn't have priority next to her name. So I'm wondering if she's either still paddling to get back out or maybe, possibly had caught a wave. We just haven't seen it yet, but it doesn't look like it. There she is on screen, so she's just paddling herself back to the shoreline now and was unable to get that final opportunity. The win is going to go to Mirna Bolsma, the 8-time national champion for the Netherlands, 5th time representing the Netherlands here at the World Surfing Games, and her surfing just gets sharper and sharper every time we get to see her. Excellent performance, and we'll see more of her throughout the week. When we return, Chris Cote, Mitch Salazar, and Otto Florence join the conversation.
In Puerto Rico, we call ourselves Boricua. We are proud, passionate, and full of life. On our island, secrets are more precious when shared. Passion flourishes. We enjoy until our hearts are full. And we know that gifts can come from anywhere. Live Boricua.
Desde la primera vez que te probé, ese sabor nunca lo olvidé. Quiero mi pancho, te amo pancho. Desde la primera vez que te probé, ese sabor nunca lo olvidé. Quiero mi pancho.
Campo Pancho, solo $4.99.
Te amo pancho.
Welcome back to the ISA World Surfing Games. We are live from the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. We have some incredible competition happening today. This is last chance qualification on the line. Repechage, round 1, heat 12 in the water now. We've got a solid lineup of international surfers trying to stay in this competition. First and second place will hang in there. Third place will be out. Nala Lee, Jolaris Carreras, and Imani Wilmot. South Korea, Puerto Rico, and Jamaica represented in the water. In the booth, myself, Chris Cote, Mitchell Salazar, joined by Otto Flores. Otto, thanks so much for coming back in. Today is going to be an interesting day of competition. Of course, the waves vastly different than we've seen in the first 2 days. Highly contestable, very rippable, as we see on display right now. You got to be happy from what you just saw from Puerto Rico's Jolaris Carreras.
Yeah, Jolaris has definitely put a lot of time. You know, here in Arecibo, the Puerto Rican team has been here for the last 3 months, just basically living here and doing trainings every week. And Jolaris is one of our strong, goofy footers, and kind of excited to have a heat with one of my country ladies. She's awesome. Her tempo, really mellow chick, but when it comes to hitting the lip sometimes, as you could see there on the screen, pretty radical surfer.
And I've seen up and down the boardwalk, when Puerto Rican surfers hit the water, the crowd goes wild. Brian Toth, a great example. Yesterday, I think he had the loudest crowd here. And even in the rain, even with the early, dawn patrol session that's happening right now, crowds on the beach backing up. Jolaris, what would this place be like on a normal day? Let's say no contest is in town. It's a Monday. The waves are like we'd see right now. What would the vibe be like up and down the beach?
It probably wouldn't be anybody in the water. Even though Rastreal is a very frequented place, we obviously come when the swell's ready for it. Obviously today, a little bit of challenging conditions, still super contestable. And, coming here for so long before the competition, we saw many faces of El Rastreal, and that gave us comfort. Even on a smaller day and a smaller swell, we've seen 8s and 7s go down. So we're really stoked that at least, with a more smaller side of the swell, we're still seeing excellent scores.
Hey, Otto, first of all, I want to thank you for having us here, hosting us. The development of Puerto Rico has been noticeable over the last 10 to 15 years, I would say. I worked with you in 2016 at an event at Punta Roca, Women's QS. We saw women's surfing develop there, but Latin American surfing overall, I would have to say, has had a major impact the last 6 or 7 years. El Salvador, done a lot of great events. What about Puerto Rico, though? What can we expect after this event, too?
Well, I think all eyes are on us right now. We did an SUP event a couple of years ago. I think it was a trial event for us to kind of get in the mix, but the history is super rich. In 1968, we had the World Championships with names like David Nueva, Nat Young, or Jorge Machuca, who's an epitome, probably one of the most iconic surfers we ever had. And then running into that 88 World Titles at Surfers Beach, where we saw Chris Brown just revolutionize surfing. Fabio Gubea, the Brazilian team, was really strong. So having the World Surfing Games again here in Puerto Rico, it's only going to initiate another fire. It's going to inspire our team, our country, and hey, we're loud and proud.
No doubt. A lot of history, and a lot of history in the making right now. Some of it made by the winner of that last heat, joined now by Rachel Tilley.
We are here with Mirna representing the Netherlands. Congratulations. You looked so comfortable and confident out there. And you were just telling that you and your team have been here for about a month practicing. Tell me about that. How has your past month in Puerto Rico been?
It has been super nice. We had the selection week first here to define the team. And after we got a lot of time to practice both the breaks. So that's been really good.
And how does this compare, a wave like this, how does this compare to waves back home in the Netherlands?
That's a lot of difference. It's back home we have a lot of wind swell and like choppy onshore waves most of the time. So being here in warm water and powerful waves, that's amazing.
So much team spirit from the Netherlands. They're all down here supporting, cheering. What is it like representing your country and being here with that team?
It's such an honor. It's amazing to be here and surf for my flag, and with this team around me, it's been feeling really good.
Well, you looked amazing out there. Looking forward to seeing how you go later in the events. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Rachel. And yeah, what a great ambassador for surfing in the Netherlands. Mirna Bolsa making it through, staying in this competition. And that's what it's all about, right? Giving your team the best chance at success by clinging to your wins by any means necessary. It's not going to be easy out there today. The good news is, with the waves a little bit on the smaller side, it might be a little bit more approachable for surfers from developing nations. When it's 6 foot and gnarly out here, that would be a big test for surfers just cutting their teeth in surf contests. So I feel like today is a great kind of gateway for some of these surfers that just need more practice, that just need more reps in jerseys. Jolaris Carreras, obviously she's feeling very comfortable out there. She's probably surfed out here a lot in waves of consequence. But for a lot of the surfers left in the draw, I think this is going to be a welcome day to just get a little bit more practice. Chris Cote, Mitchell Salazar, Otto Flores, very happy to have you guys in here today. Today's going to be one of those days where we see a lot of new faces and a lot of new names And I feel like representation is extremely important in surfing. We have over 50 nations represented here today. What's your favorite part about seeing some of these new flags and new faces in the lineup and welcoming them to your country of Puerto Rico?
Well, I think the plethora, the colors, all the flags here, but the enthusiasm, as we see here on screen, Joe Lares, our heat leader, just attacking that left at El Rastrial. Coming back to what you had to say, Chris, I saw it when I was 12 years old at the 88 World Titles, and that really triggered a lot of the love that I have for surfing. Seeing every country, seeing every flag, seeing all the colors, but also that brotherhood and that lifestyle that we all share, that surf community lifestyle. And just to host it here in Puerto Rico, it's a blessing for us.
This is a perfect display of what we're just talking about. Team Jamaica out there in full effect, supporting Imani Wilmot. And, it's a double, right? Not only a teammate, but also a sister to some of the other riders on Team Jamaica. Always come through with a lot of spirit and a lot of pride and a lot of stoke for surfing.
Well, it's a close event for them, too. I mean, in the Caribbean, they actually compete quite often. Also, going to that, Puerto Rico, they have the Corona Series too, a great circuit that not only opens the door for a lot of Puerto Ricans here, but also a lot of the Caribbean surfers. Talk to me about that development too. It's been huge for you guys.
Well, we've had a pro circuit for about 15 years, and it doesn't only bring and highlight the surfers from Latin America and the Caribbean, but also American surfers from the East Coast, West Coast, and even Hawaii come here as we see a replay of the Puerto Rican surfer. Nice snap off the top. Looking really fluid today, closes it down.
Wow.
And I saw an 8.67, if I'm not mistaken, in the scoreboard. So I'm feeling pretty stoked about that one. Yolari's throwing the tail and looking really fluid at Rastrial.
Last turn was radical. This is a great combination of turns here.
Yeah, and this is the backup, the 517 for Carreras. Wave riding vehicles, the influence for the East Coast of the United States, it's very noticeable here in Puerto Rico. And I also think that, having had a lot of surfers come here, late 70s, early 80s, Juan Ashton, also a great surfer who's been a multiple-time gold medalist here at the ISA Level 2 at the Masters also.
Yeah, I mean, our coach is also a Masters world champ, Magna Martinez, and it's the Caribbean Brotherhood. We have Imani Wilmot in the water. Big hello to Billy Wilmot and the Wilmot crew. They've welcomed us in Jabnasia there in Jamaica, and they're always keen to come down here. Ika's always down here doing the Corona contest. And the development of surfing obviously has been a long story down here in Puerto Rico. And surfers from all around the world come around, and more and more, the doors have been open. People are coming down. But to everyone's surprise, I get it from everybody. I got it from Jack Robinson yesterday and a couple of the surfers that are like, I never knew. And it's like, hey, we've always been here,
Now you know. Now you found out.
Why do you think that is, though? I mean, because Chris used to run Trans World Surf. I felt like he always exposed Dylan Graves, Ale Moreda, even yourself within the magazine, too.
This guy's a cover guy.
Yeah.
Trans World Surf.
Well, we were about to talk about that yesterday. So, I obviously, my career went a different way, and I did a lot of the editorial side of surfing and all that. And Chris was a big part of my job. I did get a cover here in the North Shore of Puerto Rico. One of my favorite waves, no secret to anybody, Chatarra. It's a beautiful wave in San Juan that kind of helped me cut my teeth to surf pipeline in places like Chopo, where I had a lot of success and I had a lot of happiness. I really, really felt comfortable. And I think the coastline of Puerto Rico was the root of that. We have waves of consequence here. We have a lot of different waves. We have lefts, we have rights, we have a lot of reef breaks. And just coming home was almost like a good practice, but also being home is awesome when you get barreled and sleep in your own bed.
Something special about scoring at home. And this guy does that a lot.
Yeah.
It's different for us in California,
But that goes to show you that having these waves here provides the platform to be able to go and be comfortable at those other locations that are some of the most dangerous in the world, including Tahiti, where we're going to have the Olympic Games. It almost seems, though, just like surfers from Hawaii, Indonesia, a lot of people don't want to leave here because the waves are just too good too often, Otto.
Well, I think that's true. And as you can see, Jolari's feeling really comfortable, just in rhythm. Her tempo is just perfect. Her board looks incredible. And a big shout out to the guys at WRV, Pupo, and all that. We have our own WRV here at Hobos, and Les and family, those guys have always been supportive in Hawaii and in Puerto Rico, and they extended that WRV family, and they've always catered to the Puerto Rican surfers. So a big hello to those guys, always supporting us here, and I know they did it in the North Shore as well. A lot of Hawaiian surfers surfing for WRV.
Yeah.
We're at 7 minutes and 13 seconds left here in Repechage. Round 1, Heat 12. Jalares Carreras is ripping an 8.67, highest single wave score of the day, taking out even Katie Simmers, who was dropping 8s earlier on. So those numbers tell us that it is very contestable out there. She just did a searing combination of 3 big turns, got that solid finish, the near excellent score. And Imani Wilmot, right now she's only sitting on a 1.77 and a 0.67, but this right here is great for her because Nalali is not out in the lineup. So this basically is a walkthrough for both of these surfers, but you can tell Jalares is not taking this heat lightly, and I think Imani Wilmot right now is kind of just assessing the conditions, preparing herself potentially for her next heat. She knows she's going to be making it through. She was born in Bull Bay. Favorite surf break is Copa. And talk about achievements for her. Jamaican national champion. She has an award for outstanding performance in surfing in Jamaica. And it just goes on and on. She's been a speaker at universities all up and down the coast of California. And she is right now contributing as a pioneer in women's surf development and surf therapy in Jamaica. So not only feeling the joy that surfing gives her, but also giving back to others through surfing. So a hero in her own right and an incredible surfer as well. And coming up next, we've got another international superheat. This is going to be a fun one to watch. This will be our scouting report for a few of these surfers who most likely we haven't seen much in contest history. So it'll be really fun to see what happens next. But we've got 5.5 minutes left to go here, and safe to say Jalares Carreras is on a good one right now, building momentum in this heat and definitely proving her case that she is a surfer to watch here in Puerto Rico.
Can't believe that she's in the repechage, honestly, but it does seem like the forehand is the strength rather than the backhand, Otto.
Yeah, I mean, she's a very avid goofy footer. She's got a great backside. We have a lot of rights in Puerto Rico, but she feels comfortable on the lefts. And, you know, we saw yesterday, being in rhythm with Margara is not an easy task.
Not at all.
And, you know, you have to pick the eyes off the spot, telling a lot of people, you know, you got to catch the right from the right place in the peak and also the left. And we saw excellent scores over there, but it wasn't an easy task. We also saw heats like Molly Picklum, totals of 6 point in a heat. So very tricky wave, excellent wave, but I think like everywhere in the world, you know, you got your J-bays, your pipelines, like they're all tricky and you got to know how to surf them.
Absolutely. What was the most eye-opening experience that you had inside of Puerto Rico that probably allowed you to do good stuff afterwards in your career, especially as a free surfer too?
Well, when I was 16, I was part of the national team, and we went to Bordeaux, France, for the world titles, and that was just a continuation of like reaffirming that this is what I wanted to do, and also discovering the waves in my patio was amazing. My mom, when I was a little kid, she took me to the spot called Secret Spot, which is a beautiful wave that breaks off the rocks, and I thought I was like in another world, you know. We used to have these sand dunes, and I went on surf trips in my own island. So, you know, after that, competitive surfing came into my life. I did the OP Junior, and I had a really good amateur career, but it was the Donovan Franken riders and the Brad Gerlachs of the world that kind of convinced me that looking for good waves would be amazing. So that's what triggered my free surfing career.
It's pretty hard to make it as a free surfer now, though, isn't it?
It's a different time. 3 minutes, 20 seconds to go here. Repechage, round 1, heat 12 in the water right now. We've just received word that after this, the entirety of our first repechage round, we're going to cut the day short. Our repechage women will compete till roughly 11:15, and that goes for our repechage men as well. So we're just going to keep one round in the water and then assess the conditions. And probably about 11:15, going to be going to the free surfers for the rest of the day.
Hey, we might get into the water too. Who never knows?
Going to be our time.
Hopefully.
With hundreds of surfers from all over the world in town, I'm sure there's an extra board for me to borrow.
So. Not if you know somebody.
There's a lot of surfboards in Puerto Rico already. 2 minutes, 30 seconds ago, Jolaris Carreras on a roll. 867, 667. And guess what? I want more. I want to see more from Jolaris Carreras. I've just become a huge fan of this powerful goofy footer. And it looks like she is taking out maybe a little bit of her frustration finding herself in the repechage round on these poor waves. She's relentless.
I think what happens is, she put so much time in here, and she surfed this place with all the conditions that she could. And like you said, she's probably getting loose, feeling comfortable. She's like, whoa, I remember the day that one of the days that I was practicing, and here you go, nice big old rail turn for the Puerto Rican surfer, looking for that inside section and just looking in rhythm today.
Board looks really fast too. I like the way that it's buoyant. It always stays on top of the water too. That's going to be key to me. I was telling Chris earlier, Otto, and I would think that you're going to agree with this. Regardless of where you're going, always bring an epoxy in your cribbler.
No doubt. I bet Team Ukraine brought some epoxies right there. That crew looked hyped.
Well, they need to. They're usually surfing in thick wetsuits. Need as much buoyancy as they can get.
They're more buoyant in Puerto Rico than they are at home. Yeah. It's just awesome to see. I'm a friend of foams. I believe in foam. I like smaller boards, even for bigger waves. So I like flotation. I'm a light-footed surfer, so I like to flow in the water, and I experiment a lot with surfboards. This is a time in my life where I could just take a fin out or put a couple more on, and it's just a good time.
You've heard it, Otto.
Album now, right?
It's been years, man, that I've been experimenting with those boards, and it's been a fun ride.
Literally.
Yeah.
48 seconds left to go. Jolaris Carreras putting on a clinic. 867, 667, a 15.34 total. Highest of the day by far. Imani Wilmot from Jamaica. A 1.77 and a 0.67. She is in this heat and advancing through. We have not seen Nala Lee representing South Korea in the lineup yet, but the next heat that's heading out there will have a fully stacked foursome entering the lineup. So I think we're going to see a little bit more tactics at play. I'm not mad at a paddle battle here or there. I like to keep things interesting out in the water.
Entertaining as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, most definitely. And we're heading into the final seconds in this heat, and it looks like the Puerto Rican surfer just comfortably coming out on top.
Yeah, that will be a great confidence booster for Jolaris Carreras for sure.
Statement,
sometimes if you get knocked out into the repechage round, it can kind of take the wind out of your sails a little bit, but that's how you put the wind right back in your sails. Jolaris Carreras ripping her way to a win. And we're going to be moving on to a quick commercial break, but we will be back with more action. Repechage, round 1, heat 13, coming up next. Stick around.
I spent 22 years thinking about this. I'm arriving in Tokyo, turn my phone on, look, and it's like the waves are gonna be great on the first day, then better, and then best. So I said, somebody's looking at us. Somebody wants us to be successful.
As Olimpíadas, claro que me tornou pouco mais forte. Não maior que ninguém, mas me deu pouco mais de vontade de continuar buscando evoluir, de continuar no mesmo nível, crescendo e inspirando pessoas ao redor do mundo.
I went to the Olympics with this bigger sense of pride and purpose. It felt just really special to win the gold medal in surfing for the first time and bring it back home to Hawaii. I've never been more proud to be Hawaiian than I am in this moment.
And in many ways, we gave a surfing hug to the Olympic moment.
Olympic moments right there. We will never forget. Welcome back to Puerto Rico. This is the ISA World Surfing Games, where we field the final 14 Olympians. By the end of this week, our Olympic field will be set. Cannot wait to see what names will be competing the end of the road in Tahiti. Will it be one of these names? Ines Tabai, Tiana Kutjevich, Yomi Wu, and Sylvia Polakova? And only in the ISA will you see a foursome like this. Morocco, Ukraine, China, and Slovakia take to the water. Chris Cote here with Mitchell Salazar and Otto Flores. And this is another one of these really fun heats because this is a heat of discovery. I have not seen any of these four surfers in a competition except for in the ISA. I watched, I believe, one of these names yesterday, and this is where they're going to be able to show us a little bit more about them, and we get to explain to the world what makes each of these four surfers special. And just making it down here to Puerto Rico to compete in this event is a huge step, you know, for a surfer from Slovakia, from the Ukraine, just
China,
far flung from right here. So it's a special moment right now for the surfing world because right now, I mean, we're opening doors for these rising surf nations and putting them on the biggest stage.
Well, we've seen the evolution of Chinese surfers and the dedication that their government has put forward for them, as we see our surfer from China in yellow trying for a little up and down. But it's incredible to see. For somehow I can identify one of these surfers. Tanya actually visits and lives in Puerto Rico, in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, and she's representing Ukraine. So an expat, a person that loves the waves here on island, but representing their mother country, and it's awesome to see that. And more we've seen a lot of surfers migrate to Puerto Rico, not only from the East Coast of the United States, but international surfers. And it's developed a really beautiful surf community. Puerto Ricans are really open, you know, like if you're a nice person, Puerto Ricans will take you in really quick. And yeah, this is something that we're seeing. We're seeing a growing community of surfers moving to Puerto Rico for the waves and obviously for the food and the music.
For the Boricua. Love to hear it. 16:40 to go. Sylvia Polakova from Slovakia. Awesome story there as we see now Tiana. Her backhand flying down the line. Section didn't give her much, so it'll be a low score, but a good start for Tiana. So Sylvia is the president and co-founder of the Slovak Independent Surfing Association. So without her, they got no team. We want to thank Sylvia for her dedication to the sport. She's awesome. She started surfing when she was 22 years old. She's also into wakeboarding, snowboarding, swimming, boxing, and all types of sports. And she is at 15 years old, she became the Slovakian national champion in boxing. So don't drop in on her, Mitchell.
I won't.
I know you would never anyway, but that's even more reason. She's a national champion in boxing, and she's the president of the Slovakian Surfing Association. Pretty awesome.
First time we've seen them compete at ISA competition, too. It's just really amazing. 55 nations this time, getting a couple different countries. British Virgin Islands also their first time, Chris, as we see Wu here, our Chinese competitor, up and riding.
That was a nice slash right there. Great form for Yama Wu. Maybe just trying a little too much on that inside section, but I'm not mad at it. Why not just go for it? This is your last chance qualifier here. Third and fourth place are out of this contest. First and second, hang in there. So far, Team China with a 1-2-3. Not a bad start for Yama Wu.
Yeah, and we've seen the evolution. I had the luxury to go to China, to Hainan, for a couple of these ISA events, and the amount of progression that these surfers have done from the first time I went to China to today. I've seen excellent surfing by the Chinese team, so it's epic to see the evolution. Mitch, I'm sure you've seen them, you know, competition by competition, and it's pretty evident that the Chinese team is taking it very seriously.
Yeah, this came in as a 3-1-7, and to your point, Otto, there's people that are good at winning heats, but I think technically is where we're seeing most advancement from them. We saw Cixi Yang drop a 6.0 with just one turn yesterday on a heavy section too. You're probably not going to find that kind of section in China almost anywhere. So for her to be able to adapt and adjust in the moment also says a lot about the kind of stuff that they're doing behind the scenes. Remember, they're one of the teams that win most Olympic medals at every single venue that they go to as well. So I feel adaptability is going to be a key to success in the years to come too, Chris.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Cixi in the upcoming Olympic Games. I mean, she is an Olympic hopeful. This is her path. It starts right here in Puerto Rico, so we'll see how that unfolds. 13:50 to go. Lilias Tabay, representing Team Morocco, 19 years old, from the beautiful city of Casablanca. She is on her turquoise surfboard.
Testing.
And she right now is very motivated to participate and fight for a place in the Paris Olympics. We'll see how she handles herself in the water right now with 13:20 to go. Surfers getting themselves set in the lineup. Gives us a chance to catch up with Rachel Tilley, with the winner of that last heat.
Congratulations. What a stellar heat and a phenomenal performance. An 8.67. You are now tied with Molly Picklum for the highest single wave score of the entire event. How does that feel? What was that wave for you? Talk me through it.
Se sintió súper bien, salió ahí una alita perfecta y súper cool tener ese score. Vamos para el próximo hit ahí.
Yolari says it feels really good. She had a great score on that wave, and she's ready to keep on in this heat, and next heat is another one coming.
Now, representing Puerto Rico, we're here in your home country. The energy is so high, the cheers are loud. What does it mean for you to be performing in front of all of your people?
Ya, de verdad que es súper especial, se siente bien brutal la energía afuera, adentro, en todos lados, y es súper brutal tener a todo este corillo que me ha visto crecer, toda mi familia, tener la oportunidad de estar aquí con ellos y que me vean, es súper brutal. Y ya, Cali, todo el corillo que está ahí apoyando es un montón, se siente súper brutal, en verdad, súper agradecida con todo el corillo y los que lo están viendo también.
She says it's a very special moment. She's very grateful of having all her family, friends, people who have seen her growing up. All of us, the Surfing Federation here, we're all a family. So it feels great. That energy is great, and it's just going to keep us going with a good momentum in the next heats.
Everyone's clearly extremely proud of you, and what an awesome experience to have such a stellar performance in front of everyone. Is there anything you'd like to say back to your country, your family, your friends?
Nada, gracias a todo el corillo que me ha apoyado, en verdad. Son demasiada gente que los tengo aquí, demasiado agradecida. Súper, vamos para el próximo hit.
Very thankful to all the family, everybody who's watching, everybody who's supporting the Puerto Rico team, and we're going to keep on going. So thank you.
Congratulations and good luck for the next one. Back to you guys.
Yeah, you saw just a quick look of relief that turned to stoke. Right there, you could tell her motivation. She is fired up, and I'm excited to see what we have next for Jolaris, as she is well into this event now. And with that type of performance, I mean, you can bet the rest of the repechage surfers are thinking, okay, this is not going to be easy at all. 10:50 to go. Right now, your surfer from China, 15-year-old from Taiyan. Her favorite break is Ryu Bay in China. That's probably the most famous wave in China at the moment. And, you know, she's already shown us some flashes of how good she really is, and I think if she finds herself on the right wave, she can get 6, 7, 8. You know, she's got all the skills to do that.
She definitely does, and it seems like she's able to do it on both the forehand and the backhand today. And as we've spoken of today, you got to approach it as a beach break, though. It's definitely not a wave that's breaking in the same place the entire time, moves a lot, and especially with the use of priority, you have to be very intelligent the way you play it, especially in the back end of the heat.
Yeah, most definitely. And going a little bit back to Yolaris, it seemed like she felt really, really comfortable, and you could see it in her emotions, huh? Like some motion of relief and just getting in touch with her best surfing. And people don't know it, but that's pretty hard to do. You know, sometimes you paddle out and things don't go your way. Like you're focused on the lefts, and then a right comes at you, and it's really awesome when everything comes together and everything you've done, all that hard work that you do before, kind of pays off in the end.
With 9.5 to go, Silvia Sisi Polakvia sitting out the back right now. Your representative from Slovakia hasn't caught any waves yet, but she's out the back with that first priority spot.
Otto, I got a question for you. I've known a lot of Puerto Ricans. Puerto Rico, I love this place. I think the people are the most amazing part of it, actually. But Spanish is the official language of the country, but it is a U.S. territory. Why do only a certain amount of the population speak both languages? Whereas we just saw Jolaris right there. She had to have the person translate for her.
I think it's a confidence thing. I'm sure she can speak Spanish. She could speak English, but yeah, Spanish is our first language. We were colonized by Spain 500 years ago. But there's a huge influence. We're American citizens. We're a territory of the United States. There's American schools. And our public system teaches English. But there's some people that are comfortable with just speaking Spanish. But the grand majority of Puerto Rico and a lot of what happens around us is a bilingual culture. And yeah, this day and age, any young kid is born with English and Spanish. But our hearts are where our culture is. And, you know, Spanish is our roots. And, you know, it's been the language that's been here for years. So I think Joe Ladis does speak a little bit of English, but I think the nerves, you know, and being on the podium and not on the podium, but on the interview stage is, it probably got to her, and she feels more comfortable speaking to her audience in her language. But yeah, the English language is a big influence, but culturally we speak Spanish.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because it opens a lot of doors for people too, travel internationally, and especially when we're talking about competition, especially the Olympics. It's huge knowing both languages.
Well, it opened the doors for me personally. I mean, being bilingual and, you know, thanks to my parents, the education that I got, it just really let me hear both worlds in a very clear state, and communication is key. And I saw my peers struggle, the ones that couldn't speak perfect English, but now all my peers are sharp as a knife speaking English. So yeah, matter of education, time, bit of patience, but yeah, English and Spanish, pretty much the major languages of the world.
You know, the ISA brings a lot of polyglots together as well. You know, a lot of these surfers coming from the European countries will blow your mind. Speaking 5-6 languages.
Kanoa speaks 5.
Yeah, exactly. Great example right there.
Kanoa speaks Puerto Rican.
Right? So with 6 minutes, 39 seconds to go, surfer from Morocco, Ines Tabai in the lead for now, the 2.87 and a 2.50. Yaomel Wu, Team China, has the highest single wave score, 3.17, and she goes again. Sharp backhand surfing right there, a tricky little wave, but definitely got the most of it. Again, that was just a flash of how good she really does surf, and we're going to see a lot more from Yaomel. Not just in this heat, but I have a strong suspicion she's going to advance through. And just like that, she takes over that top spot with a 4.5.
Well, the interesting thing here, too, is that they're doing super well by developing their young surfers, too. If you look at, you know, we're at the World Surfing Games right now. Anybody can surf in the open division, but most of these surfers are still juniors. And I think that's really where they're going to have major success, by getting those young surfers going at bigger events like this one, Chris. Start them early.
I mean, just wait. When LA 2028 comes around, Team China is going to be an absolute threat in the surfing program, that's for sure.
Well, you could always see it. You know, you get that the World Surfing Games, the junior games, and you see that a lot of those really good athletes translate to this. And just to be comfortable in this stage for a junior, it's a feat in itself. And, you know, we've seen multiple countries that bring the juniors to the World Surfing Games as well. So developing countries and just putting them on the big stage right away.
Speaking of that, bigger wave for Ines Tabai, representing Team Morocco. There's Team China right there, fully focused on what's happening in the water. And Yaomel Wu again. Pretty a nice little wave to ride there. Probably not going to replace that 3.17. She's feeling it. Love to see it.
Well, technique-wise, just the back foot, to me, like, those are the subtle things that I look for in terms of people that are improving. Having her back foot all the way on the tail pad, like, she's already preparing for those big sections, and you can just tell she gets on the right wave, she's going to post a couple excellent scores.
And there's some similarity to Rio Bay, you know, like that little long, like, left. And, you know, we've seen it in small conditions. And I see, like, her flow when she actually gets into a rhythm, it kind of looks a little bit like home, you know. Sometimes that little gutless left, but if you're in the right rhythm and have the right tempo, and she looks like she's right on it.
The repechage round 1, heat 13 right now is going to Team China and Team Morocco. China Kutjevic from Team Ukraine needs a 4.47. Sisi Polakova from Slovakia still needs to get involved in this heat, needing a 5.44. She has that top priority spot. Just kind of patiently waiting for a wave to present itself.
I can't even imagine being from a landlocked country, competing at a world championship, and basically founding the Surfing Federation and being just thrust in to competition like this, Chris, must be very intimidating.
I just love that, she's probably been surfing for a while, living in Slovakia and waiting for somebody to do something that she says, you know what? I'll do it. I'll take it. So she took it on her own and co-founded the Slovakian Surfing Association, and we're very excited to have her and the team down here. And I'm going to go ahead and put Slovakia on my list of must-see places, because from what I've seen just on her social media and the other members of the team, it's like an awesome place to visit.
Definitely. I mean, the difference in terms of the weather might be a major factor for you.
I'm geared up. I'm ready.
I know you like to go snowboard all the time, but, in terms of getting out, I think all it takes is one person. We saw Leo Fioravanti on screen a little while ago, and I remember as a junior, he was the only guy on the team. And look at them now. They have a full team, and they've actually improved their seed drastically, moved over 30 spots in the last few years, too, as looking at the replay here, although, I mean, you mentioned Rio Bay. You can see those little glimpses. It's the continuous movement on the backhand that does it for me right there.
Yeah, I think her rhythm kind of shows where she's from. As we see the Moroccan surfer, she probably goes right a lot, but not really doing bad here on the left side of Rastrial. But yeah, you see when a surfer kind of taps into it, and obviously Wu tapping into those little lefts and kind of seeing a familiarity, with those lefts and just kind of rolling with that rhythm, and just I really like her technique. She can go vertical pretty much on any section.
With a minute 46 to go, she's pretty much in control of this heat right now. She's hitting that second priority spot. We see Taina making her way in right there.
One of her best waves, still needing something in the low fours, and just want to see Sylvia get a wave right here in the last 90 seconds, Chris.
Here goes Wu again. She's found these little left-hand gems. That's the section that's been providing her with the canvas to work with. Perks up through the inside, third turn. It's what you call grindy QS style surfing. And I love that, she appears to be using every minute in the water just to practice, to keep that flow going and build momentum towards her next heat. She saw Ines Tabai right there, current second place surfer.
Yeah, definitely tapping into those little lefts. Wu just showing why she's in first place. Really like the consistency, and like you said, grinding every little bit of those little lefts.
I think all three of us know about having to grind out a heat every now and then.
Definitely.
Something tough, but something necessary at moments in time like this. And, with 30 seconds to go, 7.67 heat total. I was telling Chris, Chris earlier, 8-9 points, like that's a good heat by today's standards. You got to be very content with what you're doing, and in the end, all you need to do is advance.
Of course, and you're always looking for that better day, and you gotta serve the opportunities that are dealt to you. We saw Molly Plickham get a 6th for a total heat yesterday, and we know the capabilities of her surfing. Probably ranked number 1 in the World Championship Tour at the moment. So it's anybody's game. You just got to make your heat.
Well, that's going to be it for Repechage Round 1, Heat 13. Congratulations to Yaimi Wu from Team China. 4.5 and a 3.17. Ines Tabai moves through in second place as well. Unfortunately, we lose Taina representing Team Ukraine. And that's the last we'll see of Sisi Polakova representing Team Slovakia. But we want to thank both of them for coming down here to Puerto Rico. Now, they get to be on vacation in PR. Not a bad place to be. So thank you to all 4 of these athletes for putting on a show for us. We're going to take a quick break, but we will be back with more Repechage Round 1 action. Don't go anywhere. It's the ISA World Surfing Games.
El cariño deja una huella. Vela porque estemos bien. Celebra las nuevas etapas de la vida. El cariño nos mantiene en forma para que no nos perdamos ni un segundo de lo que nos llena de vida. Donde hay cariño, hay salud. Por eso llevamos 40 años cuidando cada etapa de tu vida. MCS, 40 años de salud completa.
Yeah, I have a reef for 20 years. My reef business card said Jefe, which is chief, and dreamer. La Jefe and dreamer, Spanish and English. That was a card I would give to the president of the bank or whatever. He always made people laugh. Because, you know, they got like talking, one asked them for an extra $1 million in loan to buy sandals, and the guy looks and says, I never lent money to somebody with this title, you know.
Welcome back to the ISA World Surfing Games, live from Arecibo, Puerto Rico. Happy to be here to greet and welcome this international competition that has already shown us that there is surfing happening at a high level all over the world. And this heat is going to be more of the same. Paula Kuta, Valeria Ojeda, and Rihanna Rosenbaum. We got Belgium, Venezuela, and the Czech Republic in the lineup. Chris Cote with Mitchell Salazar. Mitchell, who's going to win this heat?
I'm going to go ahead and say Ojeda. She's the most experienced surfer right now, and she's actually up and riding right there real quick. But Paula Kuta, she put in her bio, no, I wasn't born in Bali. That's just my last name. Now resides in Costa da Caparica in Portugal, was born in the Czech Republic, and has only been surfing for a few years. Previous heat, we were talking about polyglots. She speaks 7 languages.
Wow. That makes me feel pretty insecure about myself, but I'm happy for her. That is true brilliance. And Rihanna Rosenbaum right now, speaking of brilliance,
yeah,
what a read on that wave. I mean, that looked like nothing was possible. She made a lot out of it.
That first carve was nice and tight, too. Real good start for her, and made me eat my words about my winner here in the selection right now, Chris. Just under 18 minutes to go, and Ojeda has an offer in her scoreline. Kuta with first priority, but Rosenbaum should be dropping a significant score just based off of the conditions right now. Belgium, you know, a team that has had decent results in the past, nothing crazy, but I would also say they have a lot more to prove. Dean van der Wal's been a great surfer for them in the past, but Rosenbaum is a person that I've seen for a few years now. I think as of right now, though, he's definitely caught my attention with that first wave.
Well, it is still highly contestable out there. It's getting a little chunked up, but sometimes when the wind whips up just a little bit, it actually adds some punch to these waves. It gives you a little bit more dynamic section to work with.
Ooh!
That is a scary fall right there for Paula Kuta. Keep our eyes on her and make sure she's good.
She did a grimace right there a little bit. Hopefully
yeah, that's
everything's fine.
Kind of worst case scenario in waves like this. The board flips. She potentially made contact with all fins, but
yeah,
she's tough. She's already right back out there. She's going to make it a heat for sure. The first wave comes through for Valeria Ojeda, representing Team Venezuela. 0.83, but we know how great a surfer she is. She's been competing in the ISAs for a long time, starting in the juniors and in the Worlds as well for the past few years. So 16.33. Big score comes through for Rihanna Rosenbaum, a 5.33. Surfers resetting themselves in the lineup. Let's throw it down to Rachel Tilley.
I'm here with Yamei Wu, the winner of that last heat. Congratulations. Now, you had strong performances from Team China yesterday with both of your teammates. Were you able to gain any insight or encouragement prior to your heat from them?
首先恭喜你啊，赢得了上一场比赛。因为从昨天中国队的2场精彩的这个表现的话，你从他们身上有没有获得到什么的这个鼓励啊，或者一些其他的信息，让你赢得了今天的比赛？
有，就是他们的抓浪方面值得我学习，然后还有一些就是动作方面的，还是值得学习的。
Yes, she do have, especially for the catching waves, for the line-up position and the maneuvers. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it looked like it out there. Now, being in the repechage round can sometimes bring some nerves. How are you able to go out there with calm nerves and confidence?
就有些时候掉入到复活赛会产生一些紧张，以及一些这个不安。 你是如何去解决自己在水中的这些情绪的？
就放松心态吧，专注比赛。
Yeah, just calm down and focus on the contest.
Well, it looked like it clearly. Is there anything you'd like to say back to your home, your family, and friends?
你有什么想对国内的朋友啊、家人说的？
感谢我的团队，感谢我的教练，然后还谢谢我的家人们努力的支持我。
Yeah, thanks the coaches and families and the friends for the support her. Yeah.
Congratulations, good luck. Back to you guys in the booth.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rachel. Congratulations to Yami Wu. Ripping surfer representing China in a big way. A lot more to come from Team China in this event. I feel like this could be a breakout competition for that young team.
Absolutely, and given the conditions too, being on the lighter side, most of their surfers, Chris, this should be an excellent week for them. And, you know, speaking of breakout performances, Rihanna Rosenbaum, she's only 22, grew up on the Belgian coast, still lives there herself. Favorite wave is chickens in the Maldives. And once again, this first carve was just beautiful, real nice and tight. Look at the arc on that. And she drew it all the way around and then got a nice finish right here too, Chris. 5.33 on the opening ride. Great start for her.
Yeah, that was solid surfing. You know, speed, power, flow.
SPF.
Full use of rail. Rihanna Rosenbaum.
I know.
From Belgium. I mean, that's a great example. I mean, that is, you got to be born with a lot of natural ability, right? She didn't grow up in a place where there's just waves all over. She had to earn it. She had to seek and find it. And she's a natural. I mean, you can already see the skill level she has.
Well, I think nowadays the key is to get out of your country of origin, to travel as much as you can. That could be very difficult with finite resources depending on where you're coming from, what kind of upbringing you have. As we look at Team Guam right there. Sarah, who surfed earlier this morning, here at the first podium that we're at right now. But I think overall, whether it's just not even getting out of your own country, getting out of your own town, traveling, forcing yourself to be in uncomfortable positions and finding comfort in the uncomfortable, Chris, that's huge. I mean, even just for somebody within your area, why do you think Jake Marshall, Taylor Clark, Levi Slauson, all those kids have had success lately just from Encinitas? Because they've been able to go up and down the coast and surf with guys that are probably better than them, and now they're at the same level, if not even higher. So to me, that's what I'm seeing from most of the countries that have just been elevating their performances so far. I think that goes to show with the Canadians too. I don't think the Olin sisters are at the same level without going to those QS events and junior events from a very young age either.
Oh, and one of the two representatives from Team Latvia coming up next, Katrina Cruz. That'll be another fun heat to watch. Another heat of discovery, which is one of the reasons that I love these repechage rounds. It's so fun to discover new talent, new names, new faces, and kind of hear and read about their stories. Everybody takes a different path to the ISA World Surfing Games, including our surfers in the lineup right now. One of them representing the Czech Republic, Paula Kuta. But right now it's Rihanna Rosenbaum writing her own story, and it's a story of success. Big backside vertical snap right there on the inside section.
Sick.
She's having a great heat. I mean, I don't think she wouldn't be taking any of these surfers lightly. Right now, Valeria Ojeda might be a little bit surprised that a surfer from Belgium has gone out there and just taken this heat by the horns early on.
Valeria has been real quiet with the use of priority 2 in her positioning, and meanwhile, Rihanna, she's been super efficient with the waves that she caught. Only 2 so far, but easily going to back up the 5.33 with this last one, Chris. Going to extend her first place position by a good margin right now.
For sure. Well, there's Paula Kuta in red. Her bio's great. She says, "Hi, my name is Paula Kuta. Number 1, I did not grow up in Bali. I was born in the Czech Republic. I spent my childhood in the Czech Republic and Germany, occasionally traveling with family abroad. And always loved the sea and the water. Grew up as a competitive swimmer, which is a great start. And saw surfing for the first time in Costa Rica in 2016 and was fascinated." Costa Rica really is a place that has inspired a lot of people to start surfing from all over the world.
If you ask most people in the event, I'd say close to 20% in the event either started surfing in Costa Rica or they've gone through Costa Rica to surf.
Or live there.
Yeah. I mean, it's
and have heritage in Europe or somewhere else.
one of those places. One of those places that everybody just likes going to, and it's the same thing here as Puerto Rico. It's the land of pura vida. You know, everybody's super nice and kind, the weather's great, and waves are super consistent up and down the coast, too.
We were talking about other spots that could potentially host an ISA World Surfing Games. Put Costa Rica on that list.
Yeah? They've done it before?
Yeah.
A couple different representatives right there. Natasha Van Groningen on the right. She's competing in the event. South Africa, I could easily see us going back there, too. I have a couple former gold medalists from South Africa, Jordy Smith being one of them, Travis Logie, great one himself, too. Natasha could potentially be on the podium at the end of the event as well, on the Athletes Commission, too.
And that's Santa Vevere, other surfer representing Team Latvia. She's rad. She came down to El Salvador as the first-time competitor from Latvia.
And the only one, too.
Yeah, the only one. And look at that. She's already doubled her team size. Paula Kuta in the lineup right now, representing the Czech Republic. And coming up next, the other Latvian surfer, Katarina Cruz, take to the water. But even that right there, right? That was just a low-key look at what happens behind the scenes. Surfers getting together, making friends on an international scale.
Networking.
You know, it's not just about, hey, what do I do when I go out in the heat? What is strategy and all that stuff? It's sharing the love of surfing and just coming together as human beings, which is a huge part of what makes these ISA events so special.
Bachaluque from Ecuador, raised in Australia. Great surfer herself. You know, I've always known her through social media and through a lot of different platforms, but she did the junior series in Australia, did a couple QSs, but hasn't really been a great competitive surfer herself. It's cool to see her kind of put the jersey back on and be like, hey, like, why not do it right now? It's the Olympic movement. Let's get going. Let's promote it a bit more, too.
I've seen video parts, and she's extremely photogenic. Great free surfer.
Mm-hmm.
It only makes sense that, you know, just a little bit of a shift in your mentality, and you can become a really good competitive surfer as well. I know she has that, like you said, in her junior career, so it's great to see her back in a jersey. 7 minutes, 17 seconds to go. Valeria Ojeda sitting on a .83 and a .70. Wouldn't say this is like her. You know, usually she's a pretty tenacious competitor. Again, we've seen her for quite some time now in ISA competition. But I feel like she just knows that could potentially just be a one-wave story. It's a nice looking board right there.
It is. Heisel, the little color too.
There's the Stoke.
Katrina, she just seems like she's having the time of her life. I mean, you get out of the cold, first of all, that's a huge W. Most importantly, get out of the cold, warm water, surf good waves in a comp at least twice. Major W right there, Chris.
Graceful entry into the lineup. I mean,
nothing
underrated for how hard that can be.
My feet would have been just like hitting the water, full speed. My fins would have been hitting the reef right there.
Oriana Rosenbaum from Team Belgium right now is in control of this heat. 5.33 and a 4.33. And here we go, Paula Kuta in the Czech Republic. Nice turn there.
Mm-hmm.
Maintains her composure and speed down the line. Gets another inside carve. That's dry reef. Watch out. Like she got out just in time. Fins intact.
I like the energy, too. Straight onto her board again, Chris, trying to get another wave in the next few minutes.
Here's Ojeda now. Good slash for Valeria.
Much better.
Representing Team Venezuela.
By far going to be her best wave. Grew up in Florida and Venezuela, now resides a good amount of time in California. So good amount of waves, different kinds of waves that she's grown up surfing. And she's making a comeback, still has plenty of time. You know, short paddle back out. Good amount of time to be able to get 2 waves in 5 minutes. Shama Beckford right there. To me, that has to be the best spray in the entire event, Chris.
Yeah, that's a cool looking board.
Ghost face.
Great uniforms, too. I'm trying to come up with an offer, a trade, because I want one of those jerseys. That is rad.
One of your shirts.
3 ISA button-ups for 1 Jamaica jersey, maybe?
Maybe 5.
I'm going to have to borrow your extra one.
Well, that way
the deal.
it could be like, hey, here's an extra large, here's a medium. You can give them to your family, too. One of the coolest dudes you're ever going to meet, and I'd say in terms of Stoke, probably the team that brings it the most.
Ojeda now starting to turn things up. Quick snap there on the closeout section. But her first wave was a 3.5. The judges really liking that big turn she showed them.
Yep.
And that's just going to put her right into pole position and to put a little pressure on Rihanna Rosenbaum. Halakuta sits on a 2.5 and a 1.77.
Took her a while to get going, too.
Yeah. Basically 12 minutes went by before she caught a wave.
Yeah.
But we weren't worried necessarily because Valeria is a pretty steady competitor.
Absolutely. Definitely don't want to get into a rhythm like that, though. Not being confident about yourself, not kind of getting the start that you're going, because then you start overthinking things, and you don't want it to happen later on in the event when things really get dicey. But as of right now, she's going to by far improve on her low score too, Chris, with plenty of time.
3 minutes, 30 seconds to go here in repechage. Round 1, heat 14. And we're at the end of this round. We're going to call it for the day. We're going to wait for the waves to pulse up a little bit and assess the conditions and make the call for tomorrow, later this afternoon.
So what are we doing? Are we heading back to the hotel? We going to go grab a wave storm, try to catch a little bit of a reef break?
Well, the good news is the world is our oyster, and we're officially unleashed.
On Puerto Rico?
Arecibo.
Watch out, Chris Cote came to town.
Yeah, big news. 2 minutes, 57 seconds left here. Rihanna Rosenbaum sits in second priority. Paula Kuta in that top priority spot. Paula could have a good wave to work with here. It's all about those little chip shots to give you enough speed to get up and go and quickly, because the first section is of paramount importance.
Has first priority, needing something in the low 4s, Chris. It's not necessarily an easy score to come by today's standards, but you just need really the right section in order to get it. And look at the intensity that the other two surfers are applying towards the surfer in red. Not taking her lightly. She's only been surfing for a couple of years, and pretty darn cool to be able to see this strategy play out in any kind of heat, because you need to be able to take every heat seriously. You know, we've seen people lose with 4 or 5 point heat totals that are higher seeded teams, and overall those are the upsets that sting the most. So Ojeda and Rosenbaum, that they're taking Halakuta very seriously right now, but just under 2 minutes right here, needing a 4.3. Seems like the forehand is the option that she wants to be going on right now, Chris, and might be getting the set here.
This is just their way of welcoming her to the ISA. This is not an easy competition, that is for sure. Hundreds of the world's best surfers meet in one place, all fighting for ISA medals, team glory, in some cases Olympic qualification. Here we go, Paula Kuta. Nice formed out backside carve to start this wave. Doesn't have a lot of energy in it, but she's giving it all she has. Gets one quick snap at the finish. Looking for a 4.30. Decent turn to start. Wave kind of let her down, but I like the effort and energy that she put in there.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the 4.3, but at least, you know, improving your heat total, that's something that you should look at enthusiastically and as a positive. Does that. 2.5 as her backup, Chris. 5.27 heat total, you're getting a quarter of the points available. Just look at the small things and look at the small kind of victories, because remember, everybody's path is a little bit different. It's not necessarily a straight line.
Sparky turn there. Valeria Ojeda, can she ride out? Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Took her a while to get going, but once she did.
That's high performance surfing on a low performance wave.
And she's improved every single time she stood up on her last 3 waves too, so needing a 6.16. But the thing is, she's going to create larger distance between herself and Kuta right now too, with 15 seconds on the clock.
That was radical. And I like that Paula is just, there's no quit in her. She's out there tenaciously fighting for one more opportunity.
And gritty too. Can't teach heart, Chris.
That's true. And all of these surfers have displayed that and more. Here's a last look at Valerie's last wave. Great snap to start, and then here's the hammer.
Yeah,
Boom.
Really a layback that came out of nowhere, too, because the section was very difficult to ride out of. Extends her body, though, and it's that core strength that just allows her to get back up. Little tap right there, but look at that. Look at how that section's just coming at her from a completely different angle, too. Might have actually helped her out. It left her up at the end. Still waiting for the score, but one of the most radical maneuvers we've seen on day 3 so far, Chris.
Yeah, that was super creative and cool. Love to see it from Valeria Ojeda. Quiet during the first 3 quarters of that heat, but then came back in a big way. We'll see if that flips her positioning, but either way, it's going to be Rihanna Rosenbaum and Valeria Ojeda making it through a tough repechage heat. Unfortunately, we lose a representative from the Czech Republic in Paula Kuta, but we will see more of Paula in upcoming competitions, no doubt. Valeria Ojeda makes her way in to the beach, and I use that term loosely because it's pretty craggy down there. We'll keep you updated. We're going to bring in Shannon and Barton on the call. More action to come from Repechage Round 1. We'll be right back.
El cariño deja una huella. Vela porque estemos bien. Celebra las nuevas etapas de la vida. El cariño nos mantiene en forma para que no nos perdamos ni un segundo de lo que nos llena de vida. Donde hay cariño, hay salud. Por eso llevamos 40 años cuidando cada etapa de tu vida. MCS, 40 años de salud completa.
Yeah, I have a reef for 20 years. My reef business card said Jefe, which is chief, and Dreamer. La Jefe and Dreamer, Spanish and English. That was a card I would give to the president of the bank or whatever. He always made people laugh. Because, they got like talking, when I asked them for an extra $1 million in loan to buy sandals, and the guy looks at this, I never lend money to somebody with this title,
Welcome back to the action. Our final 2 heats of the day. Heat number 15 for women's repechage round 1 out in the lineup. Ecuador, Ukraine, Spain, and Latvia with Pacha Lukleit, Irina Corisa, Janire Gonzalez, and Katrina Kreutz out in the water. And no waves ridden yet, 20 minutes on the clock, well now down to 19 minutes. You can see how those conditions have changed. There's still some scoring potential available, as evidenced by that great layback of Valeria in the previous heat, Barton, where she got that 6-point ride, but it's definitely continuing to deteriorate, so the call has been made to go off after the finish of this repechage round for the women and the men's repechage round that's also wrapping up at El Pico in a couple of heats.
Yeah, so, good move, good decision. Obviously that wind has come up considerably since this morning and added, but sometimes that onshore wind, when the waves are smaller, is a benefit because it gives you the opportunity to hit sections with speed.
Quick up and down for Katrina in the white jersey, and Janire on her backhand. Nice attack. Start off her campaign. Surprised to see one of the Spanish surfers in repechage round 1, Bart.
You did it again. I was thinking exactly the same thing.
We've been spending too much time together.
Yes, that's right.
That's the thing.
It's it is surprising to see her in this repechage round so early. I suppose consistency when you're in the water, you could have a heat where there's not a lot of waves and you don't get your fair share, so to speak. That could have happened. But she is a real talent. We saw her in Rio, the juniors, and surfed fantastic there. So, expecting big things from her in the 4th priority right now. 3rd with Katrina, and Pacha and Irina have not had the opportunity to ride a wave yet.
Well, small score to drop for Katrina, waiting for a score now for Janiri. And while we do, let's go down to the beach to catch up with Rachel Tilley and the winner of that last heat.
I'm here with the winner of that last heat. Congratulations. You surfed amazing out there, dominance throughout that heat. My first question to you is second place and third place both needed really high scores basically throughout that entire heat in the excellent range in order to take your spot. What goes through your mind as you're just sitting in such dominance out there?
I just try to keep calm, and I know they need a big score, so they need quite a good wave. So I had priority most of the heat, often. So I try to keep priority, taking the good waves, and then knowing they needed a 7 on a scrappy wave, it's hard to do. And then on the end, I kind of made a mistake. I was with priority, and then the person in second actually got a good wave under my priority, so should have actually taken that wave, but she didn't make it, so I'm happy.
Yeah, well, there has been a lot of cheers down here on the beach, a lot of support all around you here. What does that mean for you?
Yeah, I've got some family and friends from back home, and then also friends from other countries supporting me, which is amazing, because we're a small country, we don't have many team members, so it's amazing that they come down and see my heat and support me, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. We have Team Israel here with you, too. Congratulations and good luck for that next heat.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
I just had to walk down to that kind of athletes and competitors area during our break, and it was the first time that we've had the chance to really see it kind of showcase between these two venues running together, and everyone is in there, and it's just the whole energy, the environment is all time. I love that a lot of those teams now are getting to spend that time together, where the last couple days things have been a little more separated, so they probably haven't had that time to just be able to hang out and support each other.
And we are one big global surfing family. When you're a surfer, you're a part of that. That becomes your nationality as such, while they're here representing themselves and then their nations. That really warmed my heart to see, from different nations coming together, supporting the smaller nations and helping them to enjoy the experience. But it was a great heat win, dominant as was said. Here goes Green up and riding.
So a 3.67 drops in for her first ride. Now up and riding on her second. And just technical textbook surfing there on her forehand. Putting down a backup score. Pacha now up and riding. Representing Ecuador for the first time at the World Surfing Games. Born in Ecuador, raised in Australia.
Yep.
Has spent time between the two and is now back residing in Ecuador and getting to know her home country once again.
Yeah, fantastic that she's reconnected.
Yeah, it's Australia was kind of her grassroots of surfing. She is one of those names that we were really familiar with within the Australian and Oceania region qualifying series events and trying to make those kind of teams for a long time. Mm-hmm. But now deciding to represent the home country of Ecuador, I think, like you said, it's a great opportunity to reconnect with her home country. It's also a great opportunity for her with her new efforts more on the environmentalist side and the activist side to continue pouring into protecting our Earth.
Yeah, she's one of those young ladies who recognises that she may be able to make a difference and has a voice and has used it for the positive. It's a fantastic thing to see young people, empowered like that and taking the opportunities that exist for them. While social media, has its ups and its downs, without social media, these young people wouldn't have a platform like that. So it's an amazing opportunity with social media. When I was a kid, you had to know someone or be friends with someone who worked at a magazine and somehow weasel your way into that, know a photographer, whatever it is. But now with social media, you are your own editor, you are in control, you have the opportunity to create a platform. She has done that. She's a powerful young lady.
13 minutes on the clock, now up and riding. Pacha on her backhand. A 2.83 was that opening ride. Throws it right up into the lip.
Steep bowly section. While it's still small, it's small out there, it's still on a reef, and it's still, it comes out of deep water and just lurches up and can catch you off guard.
Great camera angle for that as well, to be able to just see the shape of that wave and really be able to see how much it was kind of sucking out, that lip was throwing over.
It was a clean face. As it sucks out, it takes all that bump out of the wave face and cleans the wave face.
Janira's dropped in a 5.83 for her last wave. Sets her up in a decent position to be taking away that, potential leading position. Patcha Luklite sitting in second, and we're waiting for the other two surfers in the water to really find some rhythm. Shannon Hughes here alongside the 88 world champion Barton Lynch. And Barton, we've had lots of great action here for the women's repechage round 1 happening at Rastrial, our main podium for the broadcast today. There's also been a lot happening in the men's field for their opening repechage round as well at El Pico.
Yeah, right next door at El Pico, 50 metres between the two breaks most probably, and so the spectators are getting to watch everything. But here's the action from just next door.
Keone Lassa scored an 8.17 on this wave. We're just getting to see it for the first time as well, and wow, how sharp.
How great's that board? Look, the speed and the flow. Look at the way it's sitting up on the water in those little waves. Incredible surfing all the way through to the inside, and rightly so. Oh, and here's a 7.17, and we can see why he got that score as well on this one.
Great surfing. Incredible to find two high-scoring waves like that in a little bit more tricky conditions this morning. Not the cleanest, but still plenty of opportunity for surfers like Connor O'Leary to make any surf look absolutely insane.
Well, again, hard to believe that both of those surfers, Keone and Connor, are in that repechage round so early. I'm sure Connor wouldn't expect to be there.
Wheeler Hasbro for Canada as well. These are some big names that fell out in that opening round of competition, which also shows the strength of every single heat you're heading into in that opening round.
100%. And if you're a little off your game, you can find yourself in the repechage round. You find yourself there, then it's sudden elimination.
Well, back to Rastrial for podium 3, which is where the women are running today. And they've had some great scoring potential as well. Each of these surfers at this stage has almost surfed every venue.
Yes.
Depending on where they've kind of fallen through and making that first heat or falling out in the second heat, out of the 3 available. Janire up and riding on her forehand now. Snap to start, and she'll just not be able to connect with the rest of that wave.
The last wave, the 5.83, it was one that beautiful forehand re-entry, drifted the tail, and it made you understand why we were surprised that she was in this round, because such a dynamic young surfer, so fast on her feet, incredibly versatile across all sorts of conditions.
Taking a look at the replay here for that last wave.
It was a great turn. Here we go, pumping the replay of it. Whack! That was see all the ribs in the face. That was not easy to do. It was a difficult little section. Here's the last one. Nice snap there as well. Goes a little flat on the face. 10 o'clock high tide. So we're seeing, quite, although it's a small movement in the tide, it is at its, top this morning. So it's going to kind of fill things up a little bit. And that's why we see a little bit of flatness on the face.
That's right. And it is looking a little swampy on the inside. You can see the water, all the way up against that kind of break wall as well, just splashing off of it, creating a little bit more bump on the inside, especially with that break wall, that sort of backwash come off of it again on the high tide.
Yeah, that reverberation, I suppose, as it washes up, it washes back out, and then that energy carries back out against the energy of the ocean coming in, until that energy of the ocean coming in dissolves the energy of the backwash. So can be used for fun. You see it coming, you can use it as a little ramp and hop off it. Patcha
on her backhand, nice opening section. And she'll just have that one opportunity, looking to improve on a 2.83 as her high score. Janire, she has been so active within this heat. Every wave that comes her way, she's having a look at. Under priority, snakes this 2-turn combo.
And it was a good one. It may be the best scoring ride of the heat. Well, I feel like it's definitely going to be the second best scoring ride of the heat and advance her position. She currently has the 2 best scores, but that 3.67 may be replaced by those 2 backhand re-entries pretty soon.
8 minutes remaining on the clock with scores to drop for both Patcha and Janire. The current situation is that Katrina will need a 2.54 for Latvia to go from 3rd into 2nd. And it's a 3.53 for Irina from Team Ukraine to move herself up into that advancing position. Top 2 surfers staying in the draw. Bottom 2 surfers knocked out of competition today, as it's elimination all around. And we're getting to see some of those surfers from countries that we've become more familiar with in the last few years of the ISAs. We've seen Ukraine in the conversation for a few years now, which has been really great to see that team change and grow and different surfers represented, and for us to be introduced to the Ukrainian surfing community.
Yeah.
There's quite a few surfers that have come to represent them over the last few years at the World Surfing Games. And then we've got an opportunity here on the inside for Irina out of Ukraine up into that white water, and she'll get another score on the board.
Yeah, who would have thought? I've been watching surfing for, right on 50 years, since I was a 10-year-old little kid, as we see surfers for the next heat. Czech surfing, getting ready to send out their surfer.
Clara from Czech Republic with the cheer behind as Alexandra from Greece walks by in front.
I would never have thought in my wildest dreams in the 50 years I've been watching that Latvia would have surfers in a team, even the Czech Republic, the Ukraine. Surfing really, the popularity of surfing has just, it's like a wildfire, just taking the world. Is it 115 nations, 116 nations, something like that? Member federations of the ISA, creating the opportunity to be recognised by the Olympics through that broad spectrum of nations that are involved now in surfing.
6 minutes remaining on the clock, and we have been able to kind of be introduced to that entire, that full family of surfers from around the globe. We've had new member nations continuing to join each year.
Yeah, every year, isn't there? There's a few new nations.
As we take a look now at Janire on her forehand. Solid opening turn, finds the backup maneuver as well, just starting to find more and more rhythm out in the lineup. She improved her scoreline with a 6.43.
Was the best wave of the heat so far. Fantastic scores. And that one's going to be a good score as well. Looks like she's sitting in and under the other guys a little bit, and that's creating the opportunities for those waves to be a little steeper, going a little bit shallow water. So great wave selection, great positioning, showing her experience in competition.
Priority sitting with our surfer in white, Katrina, as we take a look at the replay here.
We know the 583 was one turn. There were two of consequence, while the one was great. Let's have a look. Right, beautiful first turn. Second turn better. And maybe the score's even better than the 583, and she just continues to, stretch her lead and put the pressure on her opponents.
So scores still to come through for the last wave of green. Last of red did improve the situation, previous wave of red improved the situation with a 3.6. So that has made the requirement into the 5s and 6 point range for our 3rd and 4th place surfers. Katrina, sitting out in the lineup in the white jersey, surfer from Latvia. Her favorite surf break is chickens in the Maldives.
Oh,
really fun left-hander.
I like chickens too.
Great for those goofy footers.
Yep.
She said her longtime dream of having the time to surf, so she'd been surfing for a while, but her dream of actually being able to surf consistently came true 3 years ago while living in Kuwait. Her previous employer, she now owns her own business, but the company she was working for before agreed to letting her move into half-time remote work after listening to her talk about surfing so much that they finally were like, you actually just need to get out of here and just use your time to surf. As long as the job's getting done, it's okay.
I did that at school, same kind of process.
So eventually her employer gave her the opportunity to just start working remotely. She could start taking more surf trips. She wasn't living on the coast, still living in Kuwait, but was able to go, okay, if the surf's good, or plan out maybe 3-4 big trips a year. Gave her the opportunity to start practicing. As we see, Irina from Ukraine, that was a great looking wave, found that open face.
And positioned herself so perfectly for the takeoff, got that really nice little roll-in chip, gave her time to get up and get her moves going. That was her best ride for sure, and some great ocean skills there to position herself so well.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Looking to duck dive here. So a great bit of kind of advice or hope to those of you that are living around the world and you're in a situation where you're not surfing so much, but you'd like to, just start talking about it so much that your boss is like, you're going to be more productive if you're in the water more often.
Yeah, that's the way. And then you come back and you're happy, you're smiling, you get your work done quicker, you're in a good place. Yep.
And the internet is literally everywhere now. I mean, you can be out on a boat in the middle of the sea on a surf trip and still have Wi-Fi.
And still do your
there
work.
You go.
Tell your boss that.
You get on a call occasionally if you need to.
Absolutely. I've been living that way for a long time. the internet allows you that opportunity to be wherever you want to be and get the things that you need to get done. And it's a liberator, that's for sure, an educator, and the opportunity for information to be disseminated to people all around the world.
Down to 2 minutes remaining. The Latvian flag there, the red and the white stripes as we take a look at Janire. Improves the situation again. So It was that 6.43, then she dropped to 6.87 to put even more pressure on Patja Luke.
There was the 3.67 and then the 5.83, and we talk about every wave you ride wanting it to be better than what you've already ridden, because if you ride a wave that's not as good as what you've already ridden, you use your priority, you lose your turn, and you waste time. So the opportunity to keep improving is it. She then got after the 5.83, got a 3.07, so there was one little hiccup, then went 6.43 and 6.87. So far it's been a very professionally surfed heat, and she's only a young lady, still a junior, with a big future.
Little positioning happening here for a surfer in white. You can see this wave starting to form. She has a deep dig into it and she just can't get a piece of it. Patja's done a great job to stay in that controlling second place position within this heat. She's also sitting with first priority right now, so she looks like she's going to use that to try and better her situation. Pumping down the line, tags the section, and might have one more opportunity. She's going to stick with it as long as she can, and she'll kick out. So the environmental activist, whose very first surfboard came as a gift from Laura Enever, one of the, most incredible shortboarders but big wave surfers now in the world, got Patja in the light onto some great equipment at a young age, and it's taken Patja to some great opportunities traveling around the world. Her and her friend Lucy Small, who competes for Team Australia on the longboard side, they have just completed a trip in Ecuador on a filming project, so they've been working on some things behind the scenes with both of them functioning in the activist and surfer space. So some great footage come out of Ecuador and the Galapagos Islands where they found some great waves. So be sure to pay attention to Patja's social media if you want to find out more about that project happening behind the scenes. And we're coming down to just one more heat remaining in the day. So official results, Janire Gonzalez will be advancing through with the win for Team Spain. Patja Luke Light in second for Ecuador. And unfortunately out Katrina from Latvia and Irina from Ukraine. We're going to see more of them around the contest site this week, though, and that's going to be an awesome thing. We've got one final heat remaining for the day. Then we'll be taking a break from the rain and the wind. Stay tuned for more after this.
Que te probé, ese sabor nunca lo olvidé. Quiero mi pancho, te amo pancho. Desde la primera vez que te probé, ese sabor nunca lo olvidé. Quiero mi pancho.
Campo Pancho, solo $4.99.
Te amo pancho.
Welcome back to the action. Janire was absolutely on fire in that heat, Barton. She just went from strength to strength, felt loose and controlled, and she could be one of those surfers that really finds a rhythm in these rapid charge rounds.
Yes, that is the opportunity that exists. Once you're down there, it's you don't want to be there, but once you're down there, you can start to build momentum, get your reps, and in theory, your heats down there are not supposed to be as difficult as the heats in the main round, you would imagine, sure. Because but then we saw on the men's side Keone Larser and Conor O'Leary World Championship Tour surfer already in that repechage round, so it doesn't necessarily always work out like that. And here's Heat 16, repechage round 1.
Czech Republic, Uruguay, and Greece with Clara Marcella and Alexandra. In the water, top two will be advancing through. Bottom surfer knocked out of competition. And as you were saying, you know, a lot of these repechage rounds may seem like they're a little bit easier, but then you end up with a surfer like Katie Simmers in the draw, who took a loss in her opening round due to a foot full of sea urchins. And surfers had to go up against that kind of quality in their repechage, their repechage round one sort of heat.
Yeah.
So anything can happen at the ISAs. As Fernando was explaining to us yesterday with his time spent in the booth, it's an even playing field across the board. No surfer is seeded into any higher rounds, you know, getting kind of those buys from the opening rounds. Everybody starts with round one and has to make their way all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Also, everybody gets a second chance because of those repechage rounds, which we're currently battling in. So this is the second chance for each of the surfers in the water right now.
Great format. I love the 3 or 4 person heats, 4 person normally. I love the action. I love how you know, when it's 2 people, best 2 rides in 30 minutes, you don't see a lot of surfing. But in this format, you see a lot of surfing, a lot of action. Great to call and great to view.
Very engaging as we take a look at Clara for the Czech Republic on her forehand. Set herself up down the line on that wave. She's going to have a score to drop for that opening exchange. Priority sitting with Alexandra representing Greece in the white jersey. Putting herself in a position now. Up and riding, pumping down the line. And just carving back into the section for that opening turn. We've already got a 1.30 on the board for Marcela Machado out of Uruguay. And so far, this heat is very tight, very evenly matched.
Only 4 minutes down, so everybody getting active early. That's great to see. A lot of opportunities out there. But picking the best ones, you know, that's the key to advancement. You imagine that, you know, the wave in a sense is the canvas, and if you've got a ratty old piece of canvas, it's not such a good platform for you to surf on, then that's going to make things difficult. If you're on a beautiful wave, you actually have to do less. The wave makes you look good. You can position yourself nicely and take advantage of the quality of the wave you're on. So wave selection in competition is always one of the most important elements.
We've seen that in every heat so far. Some of those great waves rolling through. And with 15 minutes on the clock, we've got Rachel Tilley ready to go with the winner of that last heat.
I'm here with Gianni, winner of that last heat. Now, you're a name that it was a little bit of a surprise to see in the repechage round so early. Can you talk me through what went down in your first heat and, you know, how you recovered and came through into this heat so strong?
Yes, well, yesterday's heat was a little bit like shocker. Like I wasn't expecting that. Anyone was expecting that, but I came from my injury, so I think I need more confidence, and I think it's gonna be good for me to make all the round of repechage to get that confidence that I need to show my surfing.
Yeah, well, you showed that confidence out there. Now, that was the definition of building a house. Every single wave improved upon the one before. With about 5 minutes to go, you got that 6.87, the best single wave score of the heat. Talk me through that. Talk me through what your strategy was through that heat.
I just wanted to surf, to show my surfing and just improve all the waves, and I think I made it. So I'm happy, and I can't wait for the next one.
And your equipment looked amazing under your feet. Can you tell me what you're on right now?
Today I'm riding a Cabianca 5.3. It's my board for small waves, so I think it worked good, and yeah, let's see.
Well, I look forward to seeing you move forward, and good luck for the next heats.
Thank you so much. Eskerrik asko etxeko dana eta bueno, aurrea.
Back to you guys.
Thanks so much. Great to hear from Janire. And
Eskerrik asko. Thank you in Basque.
What a beautiful part of the world.
Oh, it's a great part of the world. It's been so long since I was there, but incredible waves, beautiful countryside, amazing food, and spirited people. Look at this left.
Here we go, standing up. One of the bigger sets that we've seen through the last couple of heats. Marcella making it look easy, smooth surfing.
Oh, so calm and smooth and controlled.
Clara from the Czech Republic now up and riding. Finding that first opening maneuver. And she'll be putting a better score to what she currently has on the board, chasing down a 1.91 to put herself in the advancing position, the 27-year-old from Pilsen. Now, she is 27. She has been involved in sports for her whole life, focused mainly on track and field, and she ended up in a professional running career. Has taken to surfing a little bit later in life. First fell in love with it, traveling in Sri Lanka, as we can see the Ukrainian team there just supporting their surfers, their team together, as we've seen another one of their surfers bow out of competition with that camaraderie, alive and well.
Win, lose or draw, you know, just being here, you're in Puerto Rico. We look at the camaraderie and that team component to this event is just a wonderful thing. And then the fact that surfers from other countries are supporting you as well, and everyone's here supporting each other and supporting the sport of surfing. That's what makes it special, and the results, you know, there's all different levels of surfers, countries and nations and individuals at different levels of their development and their careers, and everyone just comes together with the stoke of surfing and spreads it worldwide.
It's amazing how, like, you know, we've been talking about that stoke or that bug that kind of catches you and what it ends up doing to you. For Clara to go from being a professional runner, competing as, you know, an adult with a career with that, taking on surfing, first time in Sri Lanka. Now she lives in Peniche in Portugal, and she works as a surf instructor. And she's in a fully different phase of life to what she probably ever would have expected. And it's taken her now to representing your country here for the World Surfing Games, and has her enjoying the water. I'm sure she still is on the pavement running day after day. One of those top athletes. We got a lot of surfers in the draw this week. And maybe, I mean, you can speak more to that probably, Barton, of what you've seen of the changes of surfers and the mindset and their preparation behind the scenes for being competitors, but top athletes who could be competing across so many different sports that have chosen to hone in on surfing, similar to a Sally Fitzgibbon's story as a runner who's decided to take on surfing for that challenge of the ocean and, you know, the never-ending search for the perfect wave. As we see Alexandra from Greece on that last wave, now Marcella, she's dropped a couple threes so far. I think given good wave selection, she's going to be into that 5 and 6 point range before we know it.
And with those two backhand turns, I think that's the case for sure. She gets really low, beautiful style, technique, and you mentioned on her very first wave, there is a poise and an elegance to the way she surfs that just puts you in a nice place when you're watching it. Sometimes people are super energetic and, you know, thinking Italo Ferreira, or someone's just got that energy bubbling out of them. And Marcella has a much more composed approach, but at the same time able to get those radical maneuvers in. I think that's going to be her best score of the heat so far.
Scores to drop, just waiting for it from the judging panel. I always feel so thankful showing up to a contest and getting in the rhythm, a few days into an event, getting to commentate, getting to just hang out and chat to the surfers and, you know, hear more of their stories or catch up with them because we haven't seen them in a while. And I get so thankful every time that I am not on the judging panel.
Yeah.
Because that is the toughest job.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for the crew that sits up there. In this event, there's a massive panel of judges. Judges that have been, you know, doing this on an elite level for so many years. We've got literally like the, you know, the head judges of so many different events and organizations around the world in the panel this week.
Yes.
Heading in preparation towards the Olympics. We've also got an incredible judging program that's running for 8 women through the ISA this week. We'll track with some live action, though, because Marcella's up and riding on her forehand. And a 5.5 was her last score. Now she's really linking into it. She's got that combination surfing dialed.
If that last one was a 5.5, which I completely agree with, definitely the best wave, that's a 7. That might be even more. It could be a 7.5. There's a couple of points on that. There was open face and speed involved in what she did. Here's Clara.
Great drive out of that opening takeoff. Board's looking really steady under her feet. It's got a little bit more girth to it for some easier paddling as well.
And you watch with the duck dive, that makes that little part of it a bit more difficult when you've got a board with more volume and width and thickness in it, but she handled that really well. And it does just gives you a more stable platform to do your performance on when the board's a little bit bigger. Yeah, so I feel like that last score, I can't wait to see where the judges go for Uruguay. It's going to be a big score. It was a beautifully surfed wave. At the moment, Clara looking for the 273. I'm not sure she'll get that on that last wave. 137 comes through, so she maintains that position in third place, looking for the 273. Needs a little more open face, a little more length of ride.
A 137 for Clara, another score to drop. We got a 5.5 on the board for Marcella. As her high score, we've got that next one to come through as well. A 2.2 is dropped in for Alexandra. She's currently chasing a 6.63, but I feel like that is about to change.
Yeah, I reckon you're right.
With that right, the last right for Marcella. The end section looked really fun to be able to hit. And for Alexandra, she's 42 years old, representing Greece, but actually born and raised in Santa Cruz, California.
Okay.
And she loves chasing bigger boards on bigger waves. She finds it pretty fun and relaxing to be able to just cruise down the line rather than having to, kind of force in any major maneuvers. So she feels more comfortable and steady in waves like that. As we take a look at this last wave of Marcella.
Nice first vertical turn, beautiful snap out of the top. She has got all of the makings of a championship tour surfer. You can see it. There's just a lovely feeling about the way she rides a wave. There's no panic, there's no rushing, there's just a presence in the moment, in the turn that she's doing that really it captures my attention, and I can see big things ahead. Or big scores ahead too. Judges still considering that one we just watched on the replay.
Yeah, having one more look at it. Now, Alexandra, as I was saying, likes riding bigger boards and bigger waves. Waves like Mavericks, she paddles out at. I surfed it a few times.
Really?
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's scary.
That's so scary.
That's the top end, isn't it? Cold water, massive waves, great whites. What else do you need to be scared of?
I mean, the red triangle, she's just sitting right in it in that zone of the world. As we take a look at her now, up and riding, steep takeoff. This would feel like nothing compared to a wipeout at Mavericks.
And that was a great takeoff. White
Wave
water all around her.
Yeah. Wave just shut down in front of her, unfortunately. Now, when she's not surfing, she does have a full-time job as a professor at the University of California in Santa Cruz. She's a mathematician and a teacher or a researcher that focuses on theoretical computer science and quantum computing. I don't know what that means, but...
What's she doing hanging with us?
What's she doing here?
Oh, look at this.
It's incredible. Representing Greece, but Czech Republic up and riding, flying down the line, found that open face.
It's exactly the sort of wave she was looking for.
Now she's looking for a 2.93. Barton, talk to us about the judging criteria when it comes to those great clean sections going fast down the line in comparison to a change of direction.
Yeah, have a look. Let's see. Nice bottom turn there. The wave face is in front of her. Would have been good if she could have got up a little higher on that wave face and made more of that moment of where the wave stood up. But still, it was, the rhythm and flow with the wave was perfect. Timing was good. Got the completion. A 6.33 for the last of Marcella. So
there
that was the best score of the heat, and the judges doing a great job. Clara's... Oh, here we go again.
Marcella, like you said, her presence on the wave, just really composed. Nice opening turn.
So back to the maneuvers, and so the more aggressive the rail turns are, the more you lay the rail over on its side and drive the rail through the water, the tighter you are to the pocket. All of these little elements, combine to make the performance. The first thing, though, is you want to be in rhythm with the wave. There's no use forcing or imposing your desires on a wave that doesn't match what you're thinking. And really, you need to get up and see what the wave wants you to do and work with it and put yourself in the right place at the right time with the wave. And that's when the perfect performance happens. That performance for Clara, with her level of ability and where she's at, was perfect. The way she rode it, smooth and controlled, positioned really nicely. So it's really just a matter of starting to work on the angles in those turns, putting a little more pressure on the back foot and the fins of the board to find yourself in more sort of vertical, tighter parts of the wave.
Great breakdown from one of the world's best in Barton Lynch. Calling the final heat of the day here for World Surfing Games Day 3. The event organizers and the contest director have decided to call the event off for the rest of the day just due to these deteriorating conditions, and knowing that now with you know, how much we were able to kind of get through in our opening 2 days of competition, which we had really great waves for.
Yes.
We've now got some room to kind of play with the rest of the week, the rest of the forecast before we get to finals day. We're not feeling very rushed at this stage of competition, which is awesome. We've got some better waves starting to come through the next, couple of days towards the weekend. So we'll take advantage of this little bit of swell that we had this morning, but we'll be returning at 8 a.m. tomorrow for a slightly later contest start. And
our final day is next Saturday. It's Monday today. And what the crowds and the energy and the excitement we saw this weekend, you imagine finals day next Saturday is going to be a madhouse. It's going to be incredible. The energy is going to be amazing. And then we'll be, crowning our champions. We'll be deciding. We'll know, by then we'll most probably know a few Olympians. And by that final day, we'll know all of those 14 qualified male and female surfers for the Olympics. It's going to be, the back end's just going to be fantastic. There'll be a lot to celebrate.
Yeah, it's going to really continue to ramp up through the week. And each one of these heats that we get through, as sad as it is to see surfers bowing out of competition, it builds that anticipation and that excitement for knowing as we get towards finals day, those Olympians are going to be decided.
And while no one wants to be eliminated and out of the event, I heard Chris Cote say earlier, what's the worst thing that happens? You're on holidays in Puerto Rico.
Bummer. What a bummer.
So it's a win-win all round, really.
Clara had a look at that wave on the inside under priority, just, kind of keeping herself away from the pack. Marcella, similar to that previous heat with our heat leader, just kind of finding some rhythm, freed up. Looking really great. Boards looking nice under her feet as well.
Minute 15 about on the clock, and I'm seeing a lot of greatness in the future of this young lady. I really have been impressed by the way she surfs and the style she has, the composure she competes with. Everything long term looks like she's on track for some really big things. For Uruguay too.
Very exciting. For that nation, they've got a great team represented here for the World Surfing Games. We're down to 45 seconds on the clock.
You ever been there?
I have never been there.
Hey, there's another one. Let's put that on the list too.
They've got a great longboarding QS that just ran this weekend. There's some fantastic longboarders out of that region of the world, and the waves look so fun. I would love, love, love to go on a surf trip there one day.
Absolutely.
Marcella just duck diving here, sitting comfortably up in the lead. The requirements on the rest of the field to take the win from her, at least a 9-point ride, a 9.63 on Alexandra. But Alexandra, our surfer representing Greece, the Mavericks Charger from Santa Cruz, California, is sitting in that second place position, and she's done a very good job of controlling that. She's also sitting with that priority, and rather than kind of sitting on top of Clara in third, she's just hunting the lineup. You can see her this whole last few minutes trying to find one more opportunity to better that scoreline.
Yeah, you've always got that decision whether you focus on your opponent or you focus on yourself and your surfing and your performance. And there the ladies are. I think they're celebrating each other and the opportunity to be here together and surf in this repechage.
Well, Marcela Machado taking away a huge victory for Uruguay, advancing through in this final repechage heat of the day, Bart.
Yep, it's the event. I suppose it shows the privileged position we sit in, that we can call this off for now and have the rest of the day so that the surfers themselves can take advantage of the beautiful environment we're in and perhaps go for a drive, see something else, take yourself away from the competitive pressures of the event, enjoy Puerto Rico, and be back tomorrow morning ready to go again.
Well, it certainly is one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's great to spend some time here, and these surfers are going to enjoy it. Let's take a look at the highlights from what we saw today, and then we're going to come back to get an interview with this woman, Marcela Machado, before we call it for the day. microphone. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's been a huge day of competition here for day 3 of the World Surfing Games. Short, but with a lot of consequence. So huge in the manner of everything that we got to see and all of the storylines continuing to unfold.
I'm going to turn mine on too. Double combo plate of mistakes.
Here we go.
Right
This
there.
is the real world of commentary.
Those last couple of days were massive days. Today, a shorter day, but the performances were great. We see what the young ladies were able to do in that highlight package with some average conditions. Decided to call it off for the rest of the day. So that's a great position that we're in. We'll be back tomorrow morning ready to go. And so far, so good. We're on track for an amazing event. 60th anniversary for the ISA. Congratulations to them. And congratulations to all our advancement surfers of today.
That's right. Well, a huge congratulations to Marcela Machado of Uruguay. Just took out the win, and she's on the beach with Rachel.
I'm down here with Marcela from Uruguay, the winner of that last heat. Congratulations. Now, the conditions have changed a lot throughout this morning. The wind has now really just picked up. How do you stay adaptable as the conditions change?
Yes, the conditions change a lot. Now it's so tricky and windy. And like I go in and try to get some waves in the 5 first minutes, because yesterday my hit was so like no waves. So, and try to improve the score all time. Like I get a 3 and try to get a better score, and that was all.
Well, you played that perfectly. Congratulations. Is there anything you'd like to say back to your country, family, and friends?
Yes, I say in Spanish.
Yeah, no problem.
Bueno, un saludo a todos los que me apoyan, en especial a mi familia. Y bueno, vamos arriba Uruguay. Caí ayer en el hit, la verdad que me quedé con muchas ganas, pero bueno, vamos a seguir, que esto recién empieza, y animando al equipo ahí. Vamos arriba a todos.
Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Rage. Congratulations to Marcela for a solid win at the end of the day. A few surfers heading out in the lineup just to continue to get to know this break, which is a great opportunity now for some free surfs throughout the day. Barton, it's been a pleasure once again to call the action with you, and we're going to have more tomorrow morning. We got an 8 o'clock start. We're running both the men's and the women's Rapid Charge Round 2. We're just going to flip venues, so we'll have the men at Rastreal tomorrow and the women at El Pico.
Yes, and look forward to you guys tuning in with us. We're here in Puerto Rico making the world a better place through surfing with the ISA, and great working with you too, Shannon. Thanks to all the crew. It was a great day.
We'll see you all tomorrow. Tune in then.
Que mami yo te llevo, restaurante Michelin, estamos en otro level, porque ahora ando en yate y aviones, se nos dio ahora somos ganadores, hicimos a quemate, par de millones, en Aventador llegando a las mansiones, todo comenzó jugando, ponte ready que ya voy llegando, de una picaco, todo comenzó jugando.
In Puerto Rico, we call ourselves Boricua, a unique name honoring our island heritage and the vibrant spirit of our people. When you bask in the warmth of our beaches, when you taste the love in our food, when you embrace the call of our adventures, you'll find that spirit in yourself. Dare to live every moment. Live Boricua.